One day in the future, portals opened up between the real world and the game world. On the ground, various dungeons with monsters began to appear. Meanwhile, some people's bodies have undergone changes. They gained systems that help them become players and the strength to resist monsters from the dungeons. Using the power bestowed by the system, people greedily plundered the dungeon's resources. While they were enthusiastically engaged in this, an abyss-level dungeon appeared, ruled by Atizali, the immortal prince of darkness against whom people were powerless. For a military expedition against Atizali and capture the dungeon under the leadership of Player Lee, the strongest squad was assembled, intending to destroy the boss in one fell swoop. The immortal ruler Atizali of unknown level ordered the monsters to destroy every person without exception. A war broke out between them which Atizali himself participated in. With his sword, he began to cut down the people one by one. When the battlefield turned out to be clear, Atizali said that these weaklings could not even withstand one blow. Suddenly, he noticed someone attacking his monsters and they started exploding. Atizali realized that his acquaintance had come to meet death. The man with 4 wings says that ordinary players are no match for Atizali. He needs to prepare to receive justice. Atizali told this righteous man to get out of his sight. He flew up to him in the air, and they began to fight. They were moving so fast that all that was left of them were sparks of lightning. Atizali was faster than the opponent, and attacked him, but he blocked this attack and flew to the ground. Atizali ordered this nobody to die and raised his sword over him. Suddenly, someone on the mountain shouted to Atizali to surrender if he cared about his family. The knight says that they captured the monsters. If Atizali doesn't stop this, the knight will kill each of them. The man took advantage of Atizali's distraction and stabbed him with his spear. Was this justice he was talking about? He took Atizali's family captive to threaten him. The man says that they only use all the opportunities because this is a battle to the death, where any hesitation can cost life. He is ready to do anything for the sake of victory. Atizali says they are all a bunch of hypocritical vile freaks. Decided to make fun of him. The energy starts to come out of Atizali's body, and he grabs the man's hand with a spear that asks what he's doing. Atizali says that he takes them with him to the next world, after which he explodes. The raid on the boss ended with his death. Everything seemed to have subsided since then, but the Atizali story wasn't over yet. 10 years later, in the Funerary Fields dungeon, the girl tells the rest of the warriors that they must keep their formation, and not disperse. They definitely need to pass this dungeon. At that moment, the guy was attacked by a huge club. Someone shouts that a monster called Stitch has appeared here. Everyone should be careful and run in a loose line. The Stitch continues kill people with your club. She realizes that they've only just entered the dungeon, and so many people have already died. It looks like there's only one thing left for them to do. She points at the miners and tells this bunch of parasites that they should go fight. The guy says that there was no agreement about this and their task is to collect resources. This is their first time in the dungeon and their levels are too low to fight. The man with the whip says they should be quiet. Who do they think led them to a high-level dungeon? They must do as they are told, and those who try to escape, he will personally kill. The guy understands that they obviously want to use them as bait, but on the other hand, this is a great opportunity to raise the level. The reward for defeating an elite monster is too big and tempting, and just how to overcome it. The girl believes that sacrificing these nobodies will save the lives of good warriors, and at the end, she will deal the final blow to gain more experience. The guy thinks that for Zio's sake, he has to come back alive. As far as he can remember, there is information about Stitch in the monster handbook. It's thick, so it has a high armor score, but if you hit its weak spot then it will die quickly. He has found him and promises Zio that she will see him return alive. The guy is shot through by an arrow, and the girl says that this brat blocked her view. The guy doesn't understand how this could happen. He can't die, because he promised his sister. She was waiting for him, and he had to survive. Stitch finishes him off with his club. Suddenly, a bright sphere flies into his body, and a pillar of energy with lightning bolts shoots out of it. People looking at it don't understand what's going on. The energy that has entered the guy's body reaches his heart. Guy getting up, emitting a strange energy. The girl doesn't understand how this trash could survive her blow. As it turned out, this sphere was someone's soul that had taken possession of his body. The guy with the changed personality says that the rebirth of the soul was a little delayed. His howling body was a little frail. It was cheap for this guy to become his receptacle. He has no choice but to accept it. Stitch swings to attack him again. But in a split second, the boy lands a fatal blow with his sword. The system notifies that an elite monster has been killed and it has received 2,000 experience points and reached level 5. The guy doesn't understand how this little fish dared to attack him. Was he in such a hurry to die? The guy asks how he could kill the monster. He had a lame first level, didn't he? Angry girl believes that the boy cheated, because the monster is level 10. Probably guessed when it was possible to finish off. The bastard had taken away her experience. A system window appears in front of the guy. It asks, is this a system notification? Level 5. Was his power so valued? So the higher the level, the better. Only Earth players have a system. It has a lot of functions. He will need to study it, because it was not for nothing that he spent 10 years restoring his soul. The system notifies that the boss's identity has been recognized in it, and the system asks for permission to unlock the exclusive right. The guy says unlock exclusive right, and they have to prepare next, because the Demon King is back. At this time, the skeleton mage, surrounded by people, releases a beam from his hand, which the man blocks with a shield. Atizali jumps out from behind the man and kills the skeleton mage with a single blow, earning 5 points. Atizali considers the player's system and unlock the boss panel did not give him anything useful, but on the contrary, he cannot get experience for killing monsters and level up, so he is stuck on the 5th. But from monsters, he gets the so-called special conquest points. With their help, you can unlock. But vote right. Right now, he only unlocked the passive skill of the Conqueror's Gaze, which allows him to see the level and class of the enemy. And killing monsters only earns conquest points. At first, Adizali planned to kill these players, but he doesn't know exactly how the system will behave, and he has just been reborn. Also, a girl hunter class Andrea, with her level 20, won't leave a wet spot on him, and she also dislikes him from the very beginning. It really pisses him off. She had killed the owner of the body, and he should be careful not to expose his plan. Adizali tells the captain that he brought her a magic potion and asks her to take it. He believes that once he accumulates enough conquest points, it's over. Andrea doesn't understand how she didn't kill him in one shot. Was the kid hiding his powers? The boss fight is coming soon, and that's where she'll see what he can do. The man points and asks, where did the blue flame come from? Adizali, realizing what is happening, says that this is the boss of this dungeon. The blue flame increases and a level 20 skeleton dragon appears from it. Andrea says they shouldn't panic, because they will succeed. Adizali says if they want to die, they can do whatever they want, but he better get out of here. Andrea says that when she deals with the boss, he will be next in line. The dragon breathes flames, but the knights block all damage with their shields. The archers and mages behind them deal damage from afar at this time. The color of the dragon's flame changes. Adizali thinks the boss has already switched to a heart shape. Soon it will be time for its release. The knights rush to attack, shouting that they have a chance to kill the boss, because his heart is exposed. But when they run up to the dragon, they are burned to the bone in a matter of seconds. Andrea orders them to attack from afar, but all their attacks are blocked. Andrea asks if the boss is immune to ranged attacks. But you can't get close to it in the middle either. Adizali says it's time for him to have some fun and runs towards the dragon. Andrea tells this cretin that he's going to die without even touching the dragon. Adizali, having reached the boss, repels his attack. Andrea doesn't understand how he did it. Adizali says they are a bunch of thick-headed idiots. Although the heart was exposed in the second stage, it was only a decoy that the boss set up after the first stage to lure them in. During the first stage, the dragon breathes fire, applying a continuously accumulating effect on opponents. As he progresses to the second stage, his heart releases a different kind of fire that sets infected enemies on fire. That is why you cannot approach it at the first stage, until it passes to the second one. And even then, defeating the dragon becomes easier than ever. Adizali runs his sword through the dragon's heart, which immediately kills it. Adizali says he killed a couple of them when he was young. Can you call so many weak monsters bosses? For killing a dragon, he won 100 points. Adizali says that now the lock will open, but the right one will open. The system notifies that the accumulated conquest points have reached the required number to unlock the right. It has unlocked, but Vo is right binding the dungeon. Does he wish to link this dungeon? Adizali agrees and remarks that once linked, so many hidden abilities are revealed. At the same second, 2 projectiles fly into his back, which explode very strongly. Andrea laughs and says that he is too inexperienced to compete with her. She tells the others that the boss is defeated. Now, according to the plan, they need to open a secret dungeon. They must sacrifice them. After this command, people started killing each other. One man says that he does not need a reward and asks to be released. Andrea says it doesn't hurt to dream. To open the secret dungeon, they need to sacrifice quite a few players. She kills this man and says that she must finish the assigned task, otherwise the game will end for her. They've already killed a lot of people, but the dungeon still hasn't opened. Do they really need more victims? Adizali quickly runs up to the survivors from behind and kills them one by one. The system notifies him that he has received 800 experience points for killing players. Adizali says that after becoming a boss, he no longer gets experience for killing monsters, but he can get experience for killing players. Andrea uses the insight skill and asks how he survived. What is it like level? How did he dodge her punch? Her skill will show its level and class. Seeing that his name is Joking, his level is the 5th, and his class is a warrior, and Andrea doesn't understand how an ordinary level 5 warrior can do such a thing. She realized that he just had a relatively well-honed fighting technique, so they didn't have to be afraid and should kill him. After all, he is an ordinary level 5 warrior. Wu Ren, a level 10 class warrior, says that he will deal with this now, but with a twist. Adizali releases electrical magic from her hand. Wu Ren realizes that he can't move because of the lightning strike he received. He doesn't understand how a warrior can use spells. He believes that he was just pretending to be a warrior, and his real class is a magician. Adizali, with a sword blow, cuts the warrior's shoulder. Wu Ren thinks that this guy won't survive his full force punch at such close range, but Adizali stops him with his bare hand. Wu Ren doesn't understand how he was able to stop this attack with just one hand. Adizali stabs him in the heart and gains 1000 EXP for killing a player. Andrea doesn't understand what kind of class he has. He defeated a level 10 warrior. Could it be that he's a battle mage? Adizali thanks them for their fear and despair and says that Wu Ren has given him a lot of experience, which is just enough to unlock a new ability. Andrea says they should all attack together. One of the warriors says that 2 of them will be enough to kill him. Adizali, after binding, received a lot of passive skills. A level 1 swordsman grants 10% sword damage, and a chance to land a critical hit. A level 1 mage that grants 10% magic damage. Level 2 strength training that gives you 20% strength gain. Undead control, which grants 100% undead damage. Adizali can also spend Conqueror points to learn the special ability of a dungeon monster. The binding cost him 200 Conqueror points. Unlocking the Thunder spell spent 50 points and he still has 50 left. Adizali realizes that there are too many enemies to defeat them with what he has now. He needs to spend the remaining points, but what ability can help him in this situation? He notices the undead summon skill, which is just worth 50 points. Andrea shoots a burning arrow and asks Jalking to die. It hits Adizali's shoulder, and he rolls over and gets on his feet. Legs. Andrea says he lost an arm. Now they will see how he fights. Adizali says he won't even need his hands. The warrior behind Andrea is killed by magic. One of the warriors asks, what is it? Are there any other people in the dungeon? Warriors block magic attacks with shields, and one of them says that he has already seen this spell. Could it be a skeleton mage? They had just defeated those monsters. At the same time, Stitch appears, which blows people apart with its attacks. Andrea doesn't understand why all the monsters have come to life and are acting in concert, as if they were someone else's. Manages it. The monsters were crowding around Jalkin. Was this really his doing? Why are the dungeon monsters subordinate to him? Adizali says that he did not know that he would summon monsters from this particular dungeon, and the cooldown of the ability will be so long. Besides, he will not be able to summon the same freaks in another place. Andrea asks, where does such a scum get such an ability? She takes out some kind of artifact that she can only use once. Andrea expected to use it at the end to deal with the Shadow Vault dungeon boss. She blows the whistle, and Adizali doesn't understand what that sound is. Is this whistle a special item? A lot of noises are heard from the forest, and then several animals run out and attack the undead. Andrea says it's an epic item that the chairman gave her. Bone Pipe of the King of Beasts. The effect summons the level 15 Legion of the King of Beasts, which attacks the marked enemy. It can be used once per dungeon. Andrea says that his monsters will not be able to stand against the army of the King of Beasts. Adizali asks, did she really think that he could only control the dungeon warriors? Above your head, Andrea is swept by a dragon that burns all the beasts she summoned and lands behind Adizali. Andrea asks if even the boss obeyed him. She asks him to stop, because if he kills her, he can forget about staying alive. Adizali asks her to explain more. Andrea says that they came to take over this dungeon on behalf of the Bloodline Guild chairman named Stoker. His goal is to get top-class equipment located in a secret dungeon. He's a level 40 blood lord. For him to kill him is like crushing an ant. Adizali says that he didn't care. If he gets in his way, he will die. Were those her last words? Andrea says that no matter how good he is, there is always someone better. He shouldn't underestimate Stoker's influence. He was involved in the murder of Mr. Liu's cousin. How can he do that? Now he realized how harsh he was. Adizali says he feels sorry for her as she spent her last words sucking up to her superior, and orders the dragon to kill her. The dragon emits flames. Adizali gets 5,000 experience points for killing a player, and gets level 10. Adizali says that for killing a high-level player, he was given even more experience, and as he leveled up, the system healed his wounds. He really likes being a player. Suddenly, the ground collapses under it. A portal appears and the system notifies that the required number of sacrificed players has been reached. The secret dungeon is open. Adizali asks, is this a portal to the dungeon? According to Andrea, there's some very rare equipment hidden there. Adizali, having seen the system's warning about danger, says that it does not know what a danger is at all. He's the most dangerous creature here, and he needs all the equipment. What is in this dungeon? Speaking of equipment, he is currently wearing a training breastplate, which gives him 4 points of stamina, 2 points of strength, and takes away 10 points of agility. Adizali asks if it is too weak. He wants to change his equipment before entering. After all, players always collected their things after killing bosses. Now it was his turn. Adizali orders the undead to clean out the players' bodies completely. After a while, his subordinates bring the players' belongings. Adizali, having equipped new things, says that the system has a transformation function for everything, so no one from the outside they won't know that he killed and looted people. The system also provides a warehouse where you can place found items, which is extremely convenient. He is now ready to enter this dungeon. After passing through the portal, Adizali notices that this castle is familiar to him. Had he been here before? At that time, his entire domain was turned by an unknown force into what players call a dungeon, and was attacked by enemy troops. The monsters that lived there also belonged to him. This place might once have been part of his land, but now it isn't, so he can't use the summons in this one dungeon. Suddenly, huge statues come to life. Adizali sees that their name is Stone Guardians of the level 40 Golem Race statue. He hadn't expected anything less from a secret dungeon. Even the gatekeepers were 30 levels above him. Suddenly, the huge gate opens and the guards kneel. Adizali suspects that they are inviting him inside because there is a trap, but he doesn't care, because the brave survive. When was the last time he, the great Adizali, felt fear at all? He runs through the opening gate, thinking that the most important thing right now is to capture the dungeon and get some rare equipment. Since the gatekeepers are level 40, who knows how much more dangerous monsters they might encounter inside. Suddenly, monsters jump out of the cracks on Adizali and attack, but he manages to dodge. The level 15 undead ghouls have been joined by 2 level 15 ghost spider kings. The monsters tell this person that he should be afraid, because he will become their food. Adizali asks, are they all undead? Is this a gift for him? He's an expert in the slaughter of their race. The monsters are in a stupor from his behavior. Adizali cuts several ghouls apart in seconds. Spiders, they shoot cobwebs out of their mouths, but Adizali easily dodges such an attack, and then uses the thunder skill. The system notifies you about winning 5 points for each monster. Adizali says that he has learned great skills, and at the same time warmed up on low-level undead. He had imagined the secret dungeon to be much more complex, and it had been a long time since he had had a fun bloodbath. With the received points of the supervisor, he can learn several abilities. Seeing the fireball skill, Adizalai says that he will definitely take it. There should be a room in the gate that those undead were guarding the boss. Does he wonder how strong he is? Opening the gate, he finds a room with a magic circle in the middle. Adizali remembered what had been here before. The system notifies that the boss needs its blood to wake up. Adizali makes a cut on her wrist and drips blood onto the magic circle. He didn't really want to do it, but who knows if he might get lucky. When the boss appears, Adizali realizes that without a doubt, now he has no chance to defeat her. With the help of the skill, he sees that this is the Lady of the Alps Selene, a level 40 vampire race. Selena asks this vile man how he dared to use his filthy blood to break the seal that her master had placed on her. Her promise with him was to take effect in 100 years. He will pay for this with his life. Adizali uses a fireball on it to assess the difference between it and a level 40 evil spirit. Selena comes out of the flames and says that he shouldn't have tried to hurt her with such a weak attack. Selena runs across the room with great speed and attacks Adizali in the back. He manages to block this attack with his sword, but is still thrown out of the room. Adizali lands on her feet and coughs up blood. He is aware that the difference between them is too high. Selena runs after him and launches an attack, gathering magic energy in her hand. Adizali, trying to block the attack, breaks his sword and flies into the column. Selena says it was sealed so long ago, she can't wait to remember the taste of blood. Selena says that he will pay for his crime and bites him in the neck. In surprise, she falls down and asks, how is it? Adizali says that vampires can see the memories of someone whose blood they drink. Now she understood who he was. Selena says that of course she recognized her lord Adizali. He's her liberator. This Yander irritates Adizali as much as ever. It had haunted him 200 years ago. He was embarrassed to kill her because of his friendship with the head of the vampire bloodline. So he sealed her for 100 years, saying that he would break the seal at the end of the term and marry her. This place looked familiar, and the guards outside didn't attack him because he was the one who created everything here. If it wasn't for his desperation, Adizali would never have lifted this seal. He asks her to keep her distance. Since she had drunk his blood, she should have known by now why he was here. Selena says that of course understood. The vile humans had viciously overpowered him. She asks to be allowed to avenge him. Adizali says that she now knows how he treats her and that he deliberately sealed her up. What would she say? Selena says of course she doesn't know that she loves Lord Adizali. The system notifies that it has detected an infection with vampire venom. The vampire boss has been unlocked. Adizali had completely forgotten that a person poisoned by a vampire becomes one himself. But come on, vampires aren't as strong as demons, but their bodies are many times stronger than humans. The system notifies that it has automatically unlocked the level 1 vampire upgrade passive skill. His health increased by 10%, regeneration by 100%, strength by 5%, and agility by 5%. But his bonuses are doubled. Light and fire effects damage on the vampire has been increased. Selena asks Adizali not to worry. She'd help him get even with those freaks. Adizali thinks that even though it is annoying, but with its help he can easily overcome many difficulties. He asks if she has any high-level equipment here. If it's a dungeon, it should be. Selena says that the high level there's no equipment here, but there's something else. She runs to her room and says she'll be right back. When Selena came back, she handed him the clothes and says that there is no high-level one, but here is the dowry that she wanted to give him after waking up. They say it was made by the ancestor of vampires. Adizali says she is looking too far and asks, is this a magical garment? The system notifies you that this is an epic level bloodsucker's outfit. There is no level required for use. Increases health by 1,000 points. Mana point 500. Increases your strength by 100 points. Stamina increased by 200 points. Intelligence by 300 points. Effect resistance by 100 points. Special effect, defeating players, but the Seidel upgrades equipment. At the moment, it is at the initial level. Unlocked level 1 Invisible Blood Shadow for players. The player becomes invulnerable for 1 second and cannot be selected as a spell target. Adizali asks, can clothes be upgraded and does it have a skill? Selena asks, aren't these just ordinary clothes? Or can it see what is available to players? Having guessed, Adizali says that as a player, he sees the properties and abilities of the equipment. He is more and more surprised by the opportunities available to players. He doesn't hesitate to accept the system's suggestion to change his equipment. The clothes in his hands are immediately self-equipped. Adizali says that this is indeed an epic level piece of equipment. His previous clothes were nothing compared to this. Not only did he get high-level equipment, but also a level 40 subordinate. A mask appears on Adizali's face, and he says that it's time for them to get out of the dungeon and go to the human world. When they come out of the dungeon, Adizali thinks that even though he has collected a big catch, but in the world of players, dangers lurk from all sides. So he needs to think ahead and hide his identity and abilities, and as soon as the opportunity presents itself, he will strike. When Selena comes out of the dungeon, she gets electrocuted. Adizali was lost in thought and completely forgot that to prevent her from escaping, he had set up a magic barrier. The key to this barrier was his weapon. But where it is now, he has no idea. For sure it was taken by the player who killed him. Adizali tells Selena that now he cannot remove the barrier. As soon as the opportunity arises, he will release it. Selena says that Adizali is very spoiled and can't stop holding her. She will wait for her lord to return. Adizali, but I didn't want to release it after that. When he came out of the dungeon, what he saw brought back memories of the times when he ruled the evil spirits. Adizali became interested. Other players said that his class is a warrior. It turns out that he also got the player class. After digging through the system, he found a leveling tree. Everything is so. His game class is warrior. There are no skill points, so he decided to unlock abilities with which he can hide his own abilities. He received the ability to cut through armor, deals a powerful blow that reduces the enemy's armor by 25%. The battle cry ability lets out a roar, putting fear on the enemy for a while, and increasing the attack power for 10 seconds. The cleft ability is a shockwave created by a weapon that deals damage to an area. Adizali thinks it's time for him to go out, but first he wants to change his clothes, because good equipment will attract unnecessary attention. He goes to take revenge in the world of players. On the other side of this portal is a bunch of people from the press and merchants. The armored man says it's a dungeon for, but has a level limit. If it passes, it will leave no stone unturned there. Who would have thought that the equipment would be there? The guy sitting on the big robot says that he should calm down, because the portal is changing, which means that someone is coming. Entering from the portal, Adizali asks the system to close the passageway. Adizali thinks he needs to pass for one of his own. It's good that he can control the tethered dungeon. One of the journalists says that he has an important thing. One player returned from the funerary fields. The merchant asks, would he sell any usable equipment if it was there? He will also buy resources and will not offend you at any price. The armored man asks who it is. Is he one of their people? He tells Adizali to stop and asks where are the others. Did he take out all the equipment? Adizali says that there was a tragedy there. As soon as they entered, they immediately fell into great danger, barely overpowering the boss. As a result, no one wanted to follow Captain Hunter and she began to kill everyone in a row. They had to fight back, and everyone died as a result. And he's the weakest, so he hid and survived. The armored man says that he shouldn't play dumb and ask if he has the equipment. Adizali asks what equipment. Doesn't he know a lot about it? Was he the one who ordered the captain to kill the others? The man says that this freak must die and hits with all his might. Someone orders Ruth to stop. The guy sitting on the robot asks for forgiveness and says that he is the chairman of the guild Blood Kinship. Stoker asks to excuse his rude subordinate. Stoker orders his subordinates to leave, because they will stop disgracing themselves. Rutan asks, does he want to just let this guy go? Stoker says that in this world, the law is above all else, especially since there are so many witnesses. Besides, the general manager of the union is also here. Now is not the time for a showdown. Rutan says you can't just let him go. Stoker says he's right. First they have to find out who he is, and if they want to kill him, they have to do it in one hit and leave no evidence. Adizali doesn't understand why Stoker is so young and already secretly runs illegal businesses. He's smiling, but he's ready to stab him in the back. But when the time comes, he'll have to deal with him. The manager tells Joking that he is the general manager of the players' union, Lao Zhan. He just came out of this particular dungeon. Will he let me check his level for identification? Adizali doesn't know if Lao Zhan will find out that he is the dungeon boss. He's level 45, stronger than all those people in the dungeon put together. Through the system, Lao Zhan sees that Joking is a player, but Wichok is a level 10 warrior class. He asks just the 10th. Although he had leveled up, it was unbelievable that he was able to get out of the burial fields alive. Adizali says it's more incredible that he survived and killed all the players there. Lao Zhan says that he likes to make jokes. Adizali asks what will happen if this is not a joke. Lao Zhan says that he is responsible for the operation and management of the union. They don't investigate cases of players being killed by players in dungeons. Besides, how could he handle so many people on his own? Once he has reached level 10, Lao Zhan sends his details to the union and hands him an ID card. He must use it to enter the alliance to participate in dungeon quests. Adizali understands that the laws do not apply to dungeons. It suits him. He wants to fulfill the last will the owner of this body. From his memories, Adizali learned that he has a sister, Zhu Zio, who is the only person close to him. Their parents abandoned them as children, and they have been helping each other ever since. Since Adizali had captured his body, then Sister Joking was now also his sister. He would protect her instead. When Adizali came to the house, he hears a female voice asking to let her go. Her brother will be back and he's already a player. H. says he will pay them back. He will definitely come. One of the guys says that her brother is a level 1 warrior. What's there to be proud of? Here he is duelist 15. Even if her brother returned from the dungeon alive, the money from selling resources and equipment would still not be enough, and given his level, it was unlikely that he would return alive. They still have this house, so they have to leave, because they are taking it on account of debts. Adizali enters the house and says there are too many of them. He counts how many players there are. The duelist says that because Joking has become a player, he won't beat him up. He should pick up his sister and get out of the house. And what does he think there? Adizali says that he considers the amount of experience he will get for them. A short time later, the duelist believes that they are in a difficult situation. He recently became a player, but he came out of the dungeon so strong. How is it possible? Before he could react, all of his men were already being hit. He asks Joking to have mercy and let them go. They made a mistake and confused his sister with another person. Adizali asks H. if she wants to kill him. H. says that killing people is bad. It's better to let them go. The duelist thanks her, and from that moment on, she is a deity to him. Zio sticks her tongue out at him and tells him that she's not that old yet. It should behave like a good one a person, and don't offend others. Adizali thinks that this is an extra hassle. It would be easier to kill them. He looks like the main character among the local punks. Since he didn't kill him, then you can use him. He asks, do they have a black market? The duelist says that of course, there is. If something is needed, he will help. Adizali throws out the items of players from the dungeon from the inventory and says that these are the equipment and resources he got in the dungeon. He should sell them on the black market. The duelist asks, "Did you collect so much from the first dungeon?" Adizali says he shouldn't ask unnecessary questions if he values his job. Life. The duelist believes that Zhaoking is very creepy, and it is better not to joke with him. Adizali says that he can take the amount received as payment of his debt. The duelist says that there will be much more money. Whatever remains he will bring to him. Zhaoking had obtained so many treasures in a single raid. Would he allow the others to hand over as well? As a reward, he will take 5%. Adizali says he only allows it if he doesn't tell anyone that he is selling on his behalf. Does he understand? Adizali believes that there are too many treasures. It will be difficult to avoid suspicion. Otherwise it is only a solid benefit. The duelist says he understands. He is his monetary deity, and he hopes that their collaboration will be fruitful. They leave, and as soon as the duelist sells everything, they will immediately come to him. When everyone has left, Xiao punches Zhaoking and asks why he only came now. She was worried about him. Adizali pats her on the head and apologizes for being late. He asks her not to cry, because now he is here and no one will hurt her anymore. But whose same day Adizali, sitting by the bed where Xiao sleeps, Xiao realizes that so many years have passed, and he still can experience the warmth of kinship ties. He doesn't know if his relatives from his previous life have survived. Adizali leaves, thinking that the time is approaching to carry out his plan. He is dressed in a bloodsucker's garb, and a mask covers his face. Adizali comes to the park from which he came to this world. He believes that if he succeeds, he will hit a big jackpot. Adizali uses the ability to summon teleportation portal. This ability opens a passage to a tied dungeon, and they are very rare for players. One will open and a bunch of people will immediately run into it. The monsters of his dungeon can also level up by killing players, and the previous slaughter increased them by 10 level. Adizali also got experience for this. Greed will lead players to misfortune and ruin them, so they should not blame him. Adizali has added an additional resurrection option. If players want to spend it on attacking him again and die, then this is their business. You should not ask more kindness from him. He notices that the people from the Players' Union have arrived. They are going to cordon off this mast, and he needs to go back and prepare breakfast for Xiao. On the next morning during the day, Adizali calls her sister to eat, because everything is ready. Xiao, looking at what he prepared for his brother, did he decide to poison her or something? Before he became a player, he was a good cook, so why did he completely forget how to cook now? Was he swapped out in that dungeon? The duelist comes to them and tells Zhaoking that he has sold out all the things and has come to give him the money. There on the card he brought, Zhu Kresawa's password, and it's worth 2 million. Xiao says they are rich now. Adizali sees from her face that this is a large sum. It should be enough for expenses, and says that he has one assignment for a duelist. He wants to go to the But Howling dungeon. In his absence, he has to take care of Xiao. The duelist says he can rely on him. From now on, he is their house employee. Adizali believes that although he is not a good person, he loves money, so he will not betray him for nothing. He asks the duelist to start by making breakfast, and it's time for him to go. Xiao asks her brother not to leave and hugs him. Adizali says he has important business to attend to. Xiao asks him to be careful then and come back quickly. Adizali says he will definitely come back safe and sound. He leaves and says she should behave herself. Xiao says he doesn't have to worry, because she's the most obedient. Adizali wants to go to the dungeon to collect conquest points and see who is unlucky enough to get there. Sometime later, in the eastern district of the Players' Union, Adizali never dared to think that he seems to be in such a situation. No one wants him on the team. One man told him that he was only a level 10 warrior, and would only get in the way. Another man said that they would love to take him, but they need mages and support right now. Guy, one of his team, told the captain that there was a cute level 10 warrior girl who wanted to join them. The captain immediately said that she was accepted, because he adores beautiful people. Adizali understands that of the good ones, but the only bad ones are that a few players have taken a raid task for his dungeon. He wishes them a speedy death. Suddenly, a team approached Adizali. Its captain asks if he would like to join them. They've taken a dungeon quest, but they're one person short. Adizali says that he is very grateful to them. Finally, someone called him. The captain says they don't have enough frontline soldier and offers to go. Stoker asks Rutan, is this his doing? Rutan agrees with him and says that their people are already part of this team. When the time comes, Zhaoking will be finished off and his inventory will be examined to see if he has their equipment. The funerary fields have been updated, the difficulty level has been lowered, and it is now possible to resurrect. If he doesn't have the equipment, then their subordinates will clear the dungeon and bring them the loot. His plan has no flaws. Sometime later, when Adizali was driving with the team in the car to the dungeon, Adizali thought about how strange they were. Why would they go to such a low-level dungeon? The man in samurai armor piqued his interest. When they got out of the car, Adizali read through the system that this is the Fishman's Harbor dungeon. The level limit is from 10 to 25. The capacity limit is 6 people. The goal is to defeat the boss. Adizali understood why they came to the harbor of the fish people. Their goal is things. When they entered the dungeon, the captain says that the mage in support should stand in the middle and guard those in front. Support tells Adizali that he, as a warrior, should protect her, because she is here, but in the dark. Adizali thinks that he doesn't have much time. It would be good to kill her quickly and gain experience. Suddenly, several fishmen jumped out of the water. Support, seeing them, calls the warrior. Adizali runs away, thinking that there are too many fish people here and he needs to get out first. The mage uses fire magic to kill the monsters and says that they must protect the priestess. They can't let her get hurt. Adizali runs at 2 fishmen and believes that he only needs to use his warrior skills to hide his ability. He uses the warrior skill battle cry and stuns monsters. That's when the fire magic hits him and the fishman behind him. The mage asks him to forgive her for losing control of the ability. But Azali holds back and says it's okay. Next time she will definitely manage. The priestess asks everyone to come over so that she can heal them. But Azali believes that the mage was definitely targeting him, her stoker sent to secretly kill him. And the samurai is too strong, although it is clear why he is in league with them. He wants to unlock a pour of additional skills. The captain comes up to Azali and says that although there are a lot of fish people, they did not know what to do. We did a good job. They can continue their search and try to clear the dungeon as soon as possible. After that, they moved further into the dungeon, killing the fishmen. When their team arrived at the wrecked ship, the captain said that the boss room was located here and everyone should be on their guard. But Azali doesn't understand. Don't they know about the boss room? The team looks at each other and the mage shouts that they should attack right now. Stone wraps feed at Azali. The tank attacks him, but Azali blocks this attack with his sword. Immediately after him, the captain appears and punches Azali in the stomach, sending him flying. Drop it into the wreckage of a wrecked ship. The priestess asks, are they crazy? Why would they attack a player? The captain says she must shut up if she wants to live. Azali says he knew it would be like this, but thought they would attack him a little later. Suddenly, a whirlpool appears in the water and a huge level 20 deep-sea catfish appears, which notices the swimming Azali, who now understands why they attacked him right now. The team doesn't understand if he's dead. Azali swallows a deep-sea catfish, and Tank says it doesn't matter anymore, because it will slowly dissolve in the belly of this monster. The captain asks, and why did he need to get rid of such a weakling? They should pack up and get out of here. Azali asks, are they going somewhere in a hurry? The deep-sea catfish's mouth explodes, and a gash appears from its head. Azali, climbing out through an incision in the head of a deep-sea catfish, tells them that they are good at doing dirty work. That's just bad luck. It didn't go according to their plan, did it? And now, they're all going to die. What a pity, of course, for them. At this time, in the Blood Brotherhood Guild building, Stoker asks, can you rely on his killers? Rutan says he doesn't have to worry, because even he is afraid of her abilities. Stoker says that this Jowking has a strange energy, so he shouldn't underestimate him. Rutan asks what problems such a non-entity can cause them. He can't handle it alone, and he can't even imagine how Jowking will die. At this time, the captain, mage, and Tank jumped on the head of the deep-sea catfish that had Azali on it. The priestess doesn't understand. Did he just use magic? Doesn't he have a warrior class? The team is fully focused and expects something. Azali asks Tank, what is he waiting for and not attacking? When the tank charged at him, Dizalai decided to finish the mage off with a fireball first. After the hit, he decided that she couldn't even stand the blow. Now he needed to deal with the big guy. Using the Thunderbolt skill, Dizalai cut off the tank's arm. But at the same second I felt the blow of his axe, and having managed to react at the last moment I blocked this blow. Dizalai does not understand how he was not paralyzed. He is very tenacious, he was torn off, and he continues to attack. Dizalai cuts up the tank along with his axe and believes that this is all it didn't help him. Dizalai has a strange feeling that the assassin disappeared from the very beginning. He must have become invisible, but the sounds of his movement and breathing are still audible. Azali hits him with lightning, but the assassin captures him anyway. Azali notices that the mage has survived, and does not understand, are they not human? Have you decided to kill yourself? The mage explodes with incredible force. In the crater after this explosion, Azali stands and asks, did they plan to die together with him? Were they under hypnosis or did they have such loyalty? He was lucky that the Bloodsucker robe gave him a skill with full invulnerability for 1 second. The priestess asks if he is hurt, and offers to treat. Azali doesn't understand why they wanted to die so badly, just like the Walking Dead. When the priestess was treating him, Dizalai noticed that his body was petrified. He doesn't understand how he didn't feel like he was being taken under control. Was this really her doing? Does she have a mind control ability? The priestess says he doesn't have to worry about killing so many people. He has a powerful spiritual force, but she finally found a gap in it. At first, she wanted to get rid of him by the hands of those 3 innocent men. Standing aside, that samurai would have witnessed it. But he foiled her plan and now she will have to personally kill him. Azali asks the samurai how long is he going to just watch. He knows why he's here. He needs a weapon, but without it, he can't find it. The samurai takes his sword and kills the priestess, freeing Azali from the mind control magic. Azali says he is lucky that they were not together. The samurai asks if he knows where to find the equipment. Azali says he doesn't want to answer someone who doesn't show his face. He should take off his armor. If he understood correctly, they were the ones hiding his level, right? In fact, his conqueror's gaze can determine the level of the enemy, and no amount of equipment will help. The samurai agrees and asks how he found out. Her armor disappears and Azali sees that it is Miyamoto Nai, her level 80 swordmaster class. Nai says he better not deceive her, otherwise he will share the priestess' fate. If he dared to deceive her, his death would be even more cruel than that of the priestess. Azali says if she doesn't trust him, she can just kill him, but without him, she won't find anything. Nai puts hers away, sword is in. But Reaper says she will believe him if he tells her what he thinks she is looking for. Azali says that she is looking for a sword with a double devil blade, called Heidgo. Azali recalls that it was he who hid it during the years of wandering, and only he knows where it is. Nai says he is right and asks where is this sword located. Azali asks, is this a valuable sword? How much is it? Miyamoto Nai says that this weapon is the basis for awakening her class. If he can help us find this sword, he can ask for anything. Azali asks for what other class awakening. Miyamoto Nai asks, does he really not know? How did he survive to this day? After reaching level 20, players are given a class change task to move to the next level. The so-called awakening classes are those that players can upgrade again after reaching level 80. The conditions for awakening are extremely harsh, but all players dream of getting such an opportunity. Now there are only 7 people who have awakened. They are called the 7 Great Heroes. They are the best of the best. Nai is one step away from waking up. Does Adizali think the 4 people he killed were among them? And when he's level 20, will he be able to awaken the class as well? Adizali tells Miyamoto Nai to follow him, and he will help her find the sword and jumps into the water. Nai dives after him, and after swimming through an underwater cave, they come out in a cave filled to the brim with treasures. Nai asks if he's sure it's here. Adizali says he is confident, and asks her to keep it down. He rakes in a lot of money and says that he is sure that the sword is here. So many years have passed, and here everything is as before. Adizali throws down her sword and says her order is for a sword with a double devilish blade shrouded black cloth in the amount of 1 piece was made. Nai removes the cloth from his sword. Adizali thinks that he has forgotten something important, but can't remember what it is. Nai takes the sword and loses consciousness. Adizali remembers that the gatekeeper should be here. Is he still alive? Suddenly, all the treasures are scattered in different directions, and the king of the level 40 fishman appears out of the dust. Adizali understands that his level is many times lower, so it will be difficult for him to cope with it, if it is possible at all. Therefore, he asks Nai to defeat him. Adizali remembered that the sword plunges into a dream world in which you need to fight with yourself to start using it. Therefore, it makes no sense to count on it yet. He would have to do her a favor, and Dizali hoped that she would be able to repay him well for her own life. Adizali jumps up, realizing that one force of this monster cannot overcome, because it is higher level. But when did it stop such small things? Adizali attacked the king, but noticed that he could not injure him because of the very strong armor. In this case, he decides to try to attack it with skills. He activates the soul-grabbing claw and attacks the king, but he easily deflects this attack and directs it. Put it aside. He instantly appeared in front of Adizali and hit him, but this attack wasn't the last. The king threw away Adizali, who realized that the level decides a lot. He was able to resist on, but got just the current strength of ice, so he won't be able to break through the king's armor, so he'll have to use his trump card. Adizali starts to emit a blue flame, and the king repeats after it prizes a pillar of water. Adizali activates the skeleton slayer's flames at full power, and their forces collide. The flames have reached the king, and Adizali hopes that he has finished him off. At the same time, the flames reached Adizali and pierced through it, then he fell to the ground. This was unexpected because the king had completely hidden his aura before attacking. Is Adizali going to die here? The monster swings its sword over him. Meanwhile, in the funerary fields dungeon, the knight tells his comrades that victory is close because the boss has entered the second phase. They need to move forward to attack because countless rewards go to them. The knight understands that they will all die and their victims will open a passage to the hidden dungeon. Unexpectedly for him, it begins to burn with a purple flame. The entire squad starts screaming in agony. A second before the Fishman King almost reached Adizali with its sword, the system began to notify about killing players and gaining experience. He opened his eyes and blocked the king's attack. The system notifies that the level has been upgraded to the 15th level. He was very lucky and thanked the greedy fools in the burial fields. We also talked about the system, because when a player raises his level, his wounds heal. Adizali told this angler that the second round has started. It instantly left numerous cuts on the king's arm and bounced away from him. The monster's armor didn't show any traces of these attacks due to its very strong armor. The system notifies that the boss has moved on in rage mode. All attributes are tripled. Adizali does not understand what all this means and what these cheats are. The monster immediately started attacking Adizali, but at the same time, Nai swept past them and cut the fish into small pieces. Nai said that she left the boss 1 hit worth of health and Adizali could finish him off as a thank you. She was surprised that this kid had run for so long even though he could have left here, had he stayed behind to protect her. Adizali said that she does not like to be in debt to the campaign, so he accepts her gratitude. With a single blow, he sliced open the monster's head. System notifies that Adizali has killed a level 40 boss and gained 1,000 Conqueror points. He also completed the conditions for unlocking the low-level Devil's Challenge quest. He also received epic-level resources, such as Fishman Scales. During the Devil's Challenge, Adizali will move to the challenge room and complete the announced tasks to get a special reward. He doesn't have to hurry because he has to get out of here first. At the same time, he asks Nai what she's staring at. Nai took a ride and said he was imagining it, and she just wanted to thank him for helping her out wake up. Adizali thought she was weird. There are a lot of treasures on this island, and he doesn't even know how much he will get for them if he takes everything out of here. It will also collect the equipment and resources of those players in the dungeon. He has a very good catch this time. The portal from the dungeon opened and Nai tossed him a badge. If he needed anything in the future, he would be able to find it in the Miyamoto family's house. If it shows this icon, it will immediately skip it. Nai put on her samurai costume again and asked him to remember to keep her identity a secret. They came out of the portal and Adizali surprised them with this a subordinate of Stoker's who thought Adizali wouldn't be able to get out of this dungeon alive. Adizali approached him and told him to tell Tom that Adizali would be the last person he would see in his life. The subordinate cannot understand what this feeling of fear has enveloped him from head to toe, but not from the aura of Adizali. A shiver went through his entire body, even though Adizali didn't even threaten him. Even Stoker doesn't scare him as much as Adizali does. Adizali is definitely not human. But what kind of devil is in front of him? At this time, Knight belittles Stoker to let him go. That dungeon was abnormally difficult, and they couldn't have done it there. Rutan told him to calm down. Although they had fallen through the burial fields, Xiaoqing must have died. Stoker's phone rang and he picked it up. The subordinate said that Xiaoqing survived. This really pissed off Stoker. The subordinate's passive ability identified Adazali's aura, and he would not advise Stoker to contact him. He also decided to quit and left the earpiece on the bench. Stoker crushed the phone in anger with one hand and started to do the same to the knight. Xiaoqing's file states that he has a younger sister, right? Then why is it all not captured yet? Stoker orders the girl to be at his place in an hour. Adazali walks down the street and realizes that Stoker will not let go of him so easily, and he must give him a preemptive strike. Adazali wonders if his newfound sister misses him. When he reached the house, he noticed that the whole house had turned into ruins, among which his beaten subordinate was sitting surrounded by some guys with weapons. The subordinate rejoiced at Xiaoqing's appearance, and all the men turned to look at him. An angry Adazali asked, "Where is Xiao?" The subordinate apologizes because he is too much weak. Xiao was kidnapped. One of the guys said that if Adazali wants his sister to stay alive, then he should follow them. Adazali said that he didn't need so many people to escort him, and this freak had to stand still or he would die. The guy asked me what he was saying. For such words, they will now destroy him. But at the same time, Adazali attacked them all with lightning speed and split their bodies. He repeats that this freak alone will be enough. The subordinate cries and falls to the ground because it is his fault that he is too weak and therefore did not save Xiao. Adazali ordered him to become stronger. In fact, he didn't expect this guy to be so loyal to him. Adazali said that he would go after Xiao, and a subordinate would have to do something for him. After a while, the thugs on the construction site turned around at the sound. In a second, Adazali threw the guy who was sent on the mission into the wall. It turns out that they are all Stoker's subordinates. The boys agreed and said that Xiaoqing should quickly give them what Stoker asked for if he valued his sister's life. Adazali say that they have crossed all borders and he never agrees with those who threaten him. The guy with the scar on his face asks, is he really trying to be cool? However, in this backwater that the Union people have no control over, no one will investigate this matter if Xiaoqing and his sister die. Adazali that this is a really good place to bury freaks like them. The men decided to attack him at once because Stoker will reward them well. Adazali didn't even have to put up any effort to dodge the asshole's attacks. When he got tired of this, he grabbed one of the men by the head and laid him in the asphalt. The others tried to attack him from behind, but he burned them with a fireball. At the same time, 3 men flew at him, but Adazali summoned his sword and chopped them into small pieces. The last survivor pleads and begs to be spared. Adazali finishes him off with his sword and says that they are too late to start whining for mercy. Stoker and his subordinates are watching from the window. Rutan says it's good that they sent the trash first to assess Xiaoqing's strength. It's not as simple as it sounds. Judging from his abilities, he looks like a mage, but with a sword, so he's a battle mage. Stoker he says it doesn't matter because Xiaoqing isn't a match for Rutan, so there's no point in fearing him. They also have his sister. Adazali also felt it. He shouted at them to return Xiao to him. Rutan has started to transform, and his body is emitting yellow flames. Does Xiaoqing think that if he has dealt with a handful of weaklings, he can give them his own terms? Rutan sat down from the window and said that the only reason Xiaoqing was still alive was because of their item that was in his possession. He must give it back, or he and his sister will die. Rutan transformed into a level 25 battle beast named Eric. Adazali told him to stop talking nonsense and attack him. The faster they start, the faster they'll all die. Eric says that Xiaoqing is overconfident, but he will show him how out of step they are. He immediately moved and attacked Adazali, but he activated the iron wall and withstood the impact. If that's all Eric can do, Adazali won't even have to use a weapon. Eric activated the passive skill Magic Wall, which significantly increases magic resistance. Eric doesn't understand how a low-level warrior hopes to defeat him based on speed and strength. Adazali says that if he doesn't try, he won't know. They moved to attack and their fists made contact, releasing a burst of powerful energy. Eric can't believe that Adazali's strength is enough to withstand his bestial ability. He gets punched in the face and doesn't understand why Adazali is grinning like he's not an opponent but an empty seat. How dare he despise him? Adazali gathered his strength into a fist and attacked Eric in the stomach, sending him flying several meters away. After turning into a beast, its strength reaches 350 units. How much in this case does this kid have the strength? This weakling forced him to use a level 25 trump card. Eric activated Primal Power and awakened Primal Instinct. Now his speed and strength are greatly increased and his body is virtually invulnerable. Eric moved with lightning speed towards Adazali, about to tear him apart. Adazali put his hand in Eric's mouth and said that his fate is truly sad because the sun has set. Adazali activated the vampire enhancement and cut off Eric's head in seconds. It was Stoker's turn. If Adazali is so strong, then Stoker will give him a great chance. He must hand over the equipment from the secret dungeon, and Stoker will not only release Adazali and his sister, but also allow them to take Rutan's place, becoming Stoker's companion. Adazali says that such offers always have 2 choices. Stoker says that otherwise they will play the game. He always knew that the most vulnerable people are those who have a dear person. This golem is a rare epic item given to Stoker by his older brother. This golem is quite specific because in order to use it, you must spend someone's life force. The strength of the man who is in the golem is very strong, quickly used up, so the golem needs a new source. Stoker throws Xiao inside the golem and closes it. The golem jumped down from the building with lightning speed. Stoker is very interested in what happens faster. Adazali will either die or his sister's strength will be exhausted. Adazali understands that the matter is rubbish because if he uses strong magic, he will touch Zio. And if it is delayed, Zio will not stand it. Adazali holds off the golem's onslaught and attacks it with a sword to the head. The golem also hit Adazali in return, and he jumped back from the blow. This is already starting to irritate Adazali, and his wound is bleeding. Stoker says it's a beautiful expression and Adazali deserves a round of applause. Even if he showed all his skills, he wouldn't be able to escape. He needs to decide quickly, because his little sister's life force is being depleted every second. Adazali needs to stop procrastinating and doubt, because by sacrificing his sister, he will save himself. Suddenly, the golem shattered into pieces and Zio fell out of it. Stoker doesn't understand how this is possible and how Adazali managed it. This strike came from a different direction. But who are these people? This is a subordinate. And Nai. Does she really like spectacular appearances? Did you make it at the last moment? Stoker is stunned that Miyamoto Nai has been able to awaken. How did she do it? Nai says Adazali doesn't have to worry because she didn't hurt his sister. Now it's time to help her deal with that nasty boy. Adazali handed me his sister and asked me to take care of her while he dealt with it himself. He's going to blow that little prick's head off himself. Nai swears on the honor of the Miyamoto family that she will protect H-Sayo even at the cost of her life. Nai asks Adazali to be careful, and as he finishes he will come to her house. Stoker says Adazali is an idiot after all, he had just missed his only chance to survive. He summoned a red blade with a yellow eye. Adazali wonders how much experience he'll get for killing Stoker. They began to fight around the entire perimeter of the construction site, leaving explosions in their wake. After that, they moved towards each other and crossing their swords. Stoker activated Dark Grip. Bats started flying out of the sword. Adazali realized that this is an ability of the vampire family. Stoker took advantage of Adazali's distraction and attacked him in the side. Suddenly, he noticed a blue flame that turned into an explosion. Stoker was able to survive, but half of his body is severely damaged. It was burned. Adazali realized that fire techniques work well against vampires. Stoker says that you have to be very naive to take it for nothing. Adazali will pay for this contempt with his life. He activated the blood seal and attacked Adazali, nailing him to the side of the building. Does he know what instant death is? Adazali can't get out of this kid's shackles. Stoker's eyes lit up and he started to seal Adazali, but suddenly he was gone. The blood seal can seal anyone regardless of level, but Adazali just disappeared. And where did he go? Now Adazali knows that this seal is a trump card Stoker. Fortunately, Adazali activated the previously obtained quest at a critical moment. Now he will have to make every effort to complete this task. He found himself in an arena that rises above the lava. A seal formed on the floor from which the fallen apostle boss appeared, which Adazali must kill. The boss immediately moved to attack, but Adazali blocked it. It disappeared and the boss smashed the floor with its power. Adazali was behind the boss and asked the burly man, is this really all he can do? He attacked the boss in the back, causing it to fall on the floor. His strength is almost at the level of a level 25 player. What will Adazali get for completing this task? The wound on the boss's body started to heal and he got to his feet. He was literally resurrected. Adazali says that no matter how many times the boss is resurrected, the outcome will always be the same. After that, Adazali repeatedly cut the boss again and again, but he's still resurrected. This is starting to annoy him because he doesn't understand the catch. Adazali decided not to give up and once again cut the boss countless times, but if this continues, the test will last forever. It can't be that this test is a scam, can it? The boss was able to injure Adazali and he jumped back. The test is definitely not this boss because it is initially impossible to kill. Adazali remembered that he was summoned to the dungeon and realized everything. He moved forward, ignoring the boss attacks, and reached the dungeon door. He needs to think bigger. He is in a room, but the dungeon doesn't end there. The main essence of the boss must be hiding somewhere behind the door that Adazali broke with his attacks. His guesses were correct, and he finally found the boss core essence. Adazali immediately moved towards the entity, and cut it with his sword. The fallen apostle began to disintegrate and disappear. Task completed. As a reward for the task, another right to summon monsters was unlocked. Ability usage is no longer restricted to the dungeon. Respawn time has been reduced to 10 seconds, but one group of monsters can be summoned at a time. It turns out that Adazali can now summon monsters outside of the dungeon. At the same time, Adazali teleported away. Stoker is still thinking about where Adazali might have gone. But in that same second, he's got it. Behind his back with a sword in his hand. Stoker managed to block this attack with his sword. Did Adazali have the courage to come back and die? Adazali ordered him to close his vile mouth and prepare to die. Stoker says that no matter what trick Adazali tried to pull, the bad thing is that he didn't escape. If he's back to face his death, then Stoker will help him with it. He returned to the attack, but at the same time, a green flame appeared beside him. He doesn't understand where the whole stroke came from. But then he notices 2 stitches nearby. Adazali 90 balls fly towards Stoker to attack, but Stoker managed to jump to the next building. Is Adazali a summoner? And this is his evil spirit. He understands that summoners don't have such physical strength and abilities. Then what kind of monster is this? Adazali said that the best word to describe it in this rabbit is better to run away. At the same second, 7 fiery away from the balls and the flames begin to engulf him. How could Adazali be able to summon fire mages? Stoker fell to the ground and told the freak to fight one-on-one. Adazali apologized, but he has other plans. A bunch of undead appeared from the portal. Stoker was angry because he didn't know how many more times this worthless jerk would summon his own kind. Adazali said that he just started having fun. A bone dragon appeared from the portal, which didn't hesitate and started to spew out flames from its mouth that filled the entire area with lightning speed. Stoker understands that things are bad and it's time for him to retreat, but at the same moment Adazali cut off his head. Showing fear in battle is equivalent to signing a death sentence. Suddenly, Adazali realized that the message about the murder did not appear. Stoker's head was replaced by a blood seal core, which immediately pounced on Adazali's body. This little bastard wants to move into his body. Stoker laughs and says that this perfect body will belong to him. Stoker only needs to destroy Adazali's soul to take his place. Stoker found himself in the world of his soul and began to search for him. Suddenly, a voice told him to turn around. Behind him, Stoker saw the Demon King Adazali and immediately fell to his knees in front of him. Adazali asks him what will be his last words. Stoker excuses himself that he didn't mean to offend the king and he will work hard and become his pet dog if he spares him. Adazali didn't like these words and took off the Stoker with one hand. Creatures that waste their last words on mercy are not worthy of life. They returned to the real world, and Adazali gained 50,000 EXP for killing a player. How did this puppy even think to compete with him? Adazali has reached level 18. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain after all, by killing a vampire. He started the process of evolution. The body parts of all the slain enemies began to join Adazali. He received new abilities. Dark Raid, Blood Splitting Technique, Blood Seal, Blood Rush. Adazali has reached the 5th vampire level. Its negative effects have been removed and perception improved. He also gained the ability to detect blood circulation in a certain area. It turns out that he's now an entry-level vampire, so his equipment has also been upgraded. The corpse control technique has reached the new limit of 10 minutes. As a trophy, he decided to take the Bloodthirst Saber epic level. As a special effect, Adazali transforms into a flock of bats and teleports to a selected location, attacking enemies along the way. The cooldown time is 10 minutes. I told you we sensed that someone nimble was approaching. Adazali decided that he should not show himself to everyone once again. Lao Zhan and his minions arrived at the construction site. The girl examined all the dead and reported to the commander that they were all related by blood. Lao Zhan doesn't understand what Liu Chen of the Wolf Spirit clan is doing here. He's got a bad feeling about this and needs to report it. This to your superiors. If someone dared to cross the road to the Wolf Spirit, that guy would definitely deal with it. This is one of the awakened ones and the head of the Wolf Spirit clan, as well as a beast god named Matt. At this time, Stoker's older brother was informed that his younger brother had died. He never liked him anyway, so he doesn't care. But they must find out who dared to attack Stoker because his older brother will not tolerate such a provocation in his direction. The old man told him not to worry about it, because if someone dared to kill one of them, they wouldn't spare him. Is he sure what he wants? Sell that weapon at auction. Stoker's older brother says that this weapon is broken because they studied it for so many years, and all to no avail. Weapon recognizes only one owner, and that's not him. The old man says that this is just a great weapon, but there is no one to use it. This is the same sword that belongs to Adazali. Sometime later, Adazali arrived at the Miyamoto family mansion. Its mansion is really big, but it still can't compare to his palace. Suddenly, the gate began to open and Adazali even tensed, but it turned out to be a servant of the Miyamoto family who asked him to follow them. His name is Liu Cheng, and he is level 50 and a deacon. Does a family servant have to be level 50, especially the deacon? Liu Cheng had heard that it was Zhaoking who helped Nai awaken. This case is very important to their family since the previous head was killed by that idiot Adazali. There hadn't been any awakened hunters in their family lately. Since the previous head of the family was killed by Adazali, they might not know his real identity, but then they would try to kill him. Liu Cheng says that even if the raid was successful that time and Adazali was defeated, but the losses were huge and only 5 players survived. This is strange because Adazali remembers that there were many survivors before his death. What happened when he died? At least now he can let go of the guilt. Liu Cheng can only say that Miss Nai is an unhappy person because he raised her from an early age. Therefore, he will kill anyone who dares to encroach on their family. Adazali could feel this strong and murderous aura of Liu Cheng in his gut. Why does Tam feel like he's being treated like Nai's husband? But they don't have to worry because he's not interested in her body. H-Sayo saw her own. I ran to my brother's side. She was rooting for him with all her heart and is very happy that he is fine. Adazali asks her not to cry. Bad people will always be banished, and will never dare to disturb her and her family. He has important things to do and needs to talk to the sister who saved Zayo, so they'll meet up later. Liu Cheng said that Adazali takes great care of her younger sister. Of course it is, and he will kill anyone who dares to harm her. Liu Cheng said that he had a good aura and could rely on him. They finally arrived at Nai's room, which Adazali had already been waiting for. Maybe they or did you find him just to talk about Adazali? Nai doesn't understand why this room feels like they're on a date. Adazali doesn't understand why she's blushing. Maybe she was furious and they really understood. Nai only wanted to talk to Adazali because she was very curious. How did he manage to kill that level 40 guy? Why did it bother her so much? Adazali said that he has his own methods of solving problems. Nai says that those people who were killed by Adazali have very strong training and he could provoke extremely dangerous people. Stockton is an ally of Louis. He is also one of the Awakeners who joined the raid. He is cold-blooded and thus he will not cause himself a problem by killing his ally that interests many people. Adazali said that he didn't even leave any traces and they would never be able to find him. Nye says that if this is the leader of the Wolf Soul tribe, then he will definitely be able to find Adazali. He doesn't even know the words and asks, are they dog meat sellers? The Wolf Soul tribe is one of the 7 great people with great strength and power. Their leader Matt has the profession of god of beasts. Matt has a very sharp nose, with the help of which he is able to calculate anyone he has seen during the month. Interestingly, the headquarters of the Wolf Soul tribe is located on the other side of the mainland, and most likely Matt is already on his way here. I think he's a real dog if he has such a nose. At the same time, Liu Cheng burst into the room with the news of Adazali. His weapon was sold at auction. Nye asks if this information is reliable. Weapon isn't in Louis' hands, is it? Liu Cheng says that this information is absolutely accurate. Weapon was put up a month after the 10th ceremony was held at Adazali's funeral. Can't they let him go even after death? Nye says that no one can use this weapon because it can even fry the person who uses it. Perhaps only Adazali can use this weapon. Of course, only he can use his weapon with which he has long created a soul connection. Nye noticed that he was smiling. Did she say something that made him happy? If there is only a month left, then Adazali needs to change her profession, regardless of what method you need to apply for this. He has to get back what belongs to him. After a while, a guy harasses a girl in an alley while she screams for help. Adazali said that this world is full of freaks everywhere he goes. The guy told him not to interfere and get out of here. Adazali said that he would gain some experience from this level 25 berserker warrior once he killed him. The guy told this kid that he was very arrogant, and for this he would tear him to pieces and then let him eat meat that he would feed to pigs. Adazali said he had a lot to do, so this freak better shut up and die. In one move, Adazali decapitated him and got 3,000 experience points for killing a player. The girl, horrified by what she saw, began to run away. Adazali noticed that he was only a short distance away from level 20. In this case, he needs to look for the next target. At the same time, the system started sending notifications about getting experience for killing players. A player who has reached level 20 can change their profession. The free experience is still dripping from his dungeon. Because of its name difficult and scary dungeon, people came in and challenged it, which is a good thing, because now Adazali can come back and accompany Zio. The system notifies that a linked dungeon is being created successfully cleared. The dungeon is being repaired and all relevant authorities will be locked down. The duration of repairs will be 7 days and will start right now. Adazali noticed that all of his dungeon skills were blocked. Even the attribute boost was gone. How is it even possible to successfully complete a raid in his dungeon? What kind of freak dared to do that? Meanwhile, in the dungeon in the burial ground, players don't understand why such a strong guy who was able to pass the dungeon alone decided to take them with him. The guy said he took them with him because he needed witnesses to everything he was doing. But doesn't he just want to show off in front of others? The player's name is Long Yongwu, and he is a guardian by profession. Once he reached level 20, it was time to start a mission to change his profession. At this time, a dimensional gate from the dungeon appeared in the city at the crossroads. Passers-by do not understand why the gate appeared here and whether it is dangerous. At the same time, there was a powerful fire explosion that blew everything in its path. People watching on surveillance cameras are shocked that a copy can cause so much damage. The entire city of M was engulfed in intense flames released from the dungeon. The man asks, isn't it time to open a dungeon like Adazali? They had just received information about this dungeon. This is a dungeon for changing professions. But how can it cause such a commotion? There's definitely something wrong with this dungeon. On this day, all warriors and guards who did not pass the profession change received the same system notification. When Adazali was a young boy, he had seen the profession of a necromancer knight in some classic books. But this profession had long since disappeared in his world. Therefore, Adazali did not even think that he would meet this profession in the human world. That is why Adazali should take this opportunity and change his profession to a necromancer knight. After landing on the roof of the building, Adazali noticed that the association had already sealed off the area with the portal to the dungeon. The Players Association acted too quickly, but Adazali will still kill anyone who gets in his way. At this time, players rebel because they are not allowed to pass the dungeon, although they have every right to change their profession. The representative of the association told the guys that those who beat him will be able to enter the dungeon and get the right to finish this dungeon. This group of people who haven't changed their profession doesn't exactly match his strength. This guy is a level 35 paladin. One of the players said that he could easily defeat this ordinary high-level player. He should prepare for his own death. The paladin's eyes lit up and in 1 second, the player's sword flew towards the crowd, just like him. The paladin told the guys that they could continue and asked which of them would be next. Adazali said that he wanted to give it a try because he was wondering if he could pass this dungeon. An unexpected player behind him shouted to that trash low-level get out of here and don't block his path. Shan Tianqing, a level 24 warrior, told Adazali not to force himself to go through this dungeon because he had better run home to his mother. Adazali asked him, is he really looking for death? The paladin realized that Tianqing was an Iga guild member and immediately said that he could go through this dungeon. The players realized that this was one of the 7 great guilds. A guild is just a bunch of weak freaks participating only in the realm of normal players like them. They make it sound like they want to protect the players, but in reality they just want to level up this profession and prevent others from getting it. It looks like a higher association that uses people as tools and for its own personal interests. Tianqing asked if this trash still wanted to challenge such a legendary dungeon for a change of profession. Adazali didn't take this humiliation and punched Tianqing in the face, causing him to fall to the ground. He started complaining to Uncle Cheng like a little boy that this scoundrel dared to hit him. The uncle immediately stood up and told this kid that he was too confident in himself. This time he dared to infuriate someone who was better off not angering, so he should be blaming himself. Liu Cheng suddenly appeared and asked do they think they can beat up a member of the Miyamoto family. Uncle Cheng immediately recognized the Miyamoto family's butler. That year, he took a little girl to the dungeon to explore, but they were surrounded by enemies. However, Liu Cheng had killed more than 100 opponents alone, so they shouldn't ruin the Miyamoto family's face. Tianqing said that even if Adazali has support, it doesn't guarantee his safety in the dungeon. When he entered, Tianqing would make him beg for death. Liu Cheng said that Nai saw that Adazali had not yet, that's why she thought that he might come here, and Liu Cheng came to help him. Adazali thanked him for the suggestion, but he still decided to use the old method when logging in. The paladin does not understand why he should do this, because there is simply a huge gap in strength between them and he does not have a chance to pass this test. Adazali ordered this puppy to close the bread slicer, and until he tried it, he wouldn't know. The paladin started to emit yellow flames and said that Adazali asked for it, so don't let him be offended later. He immediately moved to attack, but it's not that simple. Adazali blocked with one hand this weak punch. Now it's Adazali's turn. The paladin doesn't understand why this jerk is so strong. He can't even break out of that grip, so he activated the paladin barrier skill. Adazali still put him down on the floor and started destroying the barrier with multiple attacks. The paladin noticed that his barrier was cracking and collapsing easily. When the barrier finally cracked, the paladin shouted that he was giving up. Can Adazali now pass the dungeon without any problems? The paladin stutters, but still grants him the right to pass the dungeon. It seems that all those people who are standing next to the portal are they came to change their profession. The Matang warrior is level 23. Knight Dio Isle is level 21. The female warrior Gio Gio is level 20. All of these low-level players must be unskilled warriors and knights. There are also high-level players here. Most likely, they are needed here in order to lead the group. Level 45 Destroyer Rui Isle. The Holy Knight Zhuo Chengyi is level 50. Suddenly, an unknown man starts applauding and says that his fighting skills deserve respect. For a level 20 warrior to win so easily a player with level 35. He would never have thought that there was another talented person in the Miyamoto family besides Nai. Adazali looked at him and wondered, is this him? They finally met again. This man can also see someone else's level and profession. The man says it's nice to meet you. He's Li Jiayu, the clan head of the Death Spirit Guild. Adazali sees that Li Jiayu has the profession of Death Judge and his level is unknown. Li Jiayu tells Yongwu that this guy's fighting skills are just as good as his. Adazali experienced a familiar feeling from the demon race's aura. Yongwu says that after gaining everyone's attention, Adazali greatly angered him. Adazali notices and Jai are next to him. He is glad that she is still alive. Li Jiayu asks, did he offend him in some way? Why does he dislike him so much? Liu Cheng glances at the Adazali and says that it's probably the aura of the death spirit of Li Jiayu. Anyone who sees it for the first time will be wary. Li Jiayu says he's right. From what he'd heard, Nai had finally woken up. He congratulates the Miyamoto family on the occasion. Miyamoto's late uncle must have been very happy. Adazali asks if he means the previous head of the family, Miyamoto. He was killed by Adazali, right? Li Jiayu says that Uncle Miyamoto died while helping them. During their retreat, Adazali went berserk and slaughtered many players. Including him, 6 people survived. Miyamoto's uncle diverted the Adazali to give them a chance to strike. He is sorry that his uncle died. Adazali understands that this freak is lying. It didn't happen, but what was he trying to hide? Li Jiayu says that Long Yongwu is a member of his guild. They can take care of each other when they enter. Yongwu says they can learn a lot from each other. Li Jiayu says he'll be back initial. If they get the chance, they can visit their guild. Adazali thinks that he doesn't have to worry, because he will definitely come there in order to kill Li Jiayu. Now he knows that there is another survivor of his race. Maybe she knows what happened after he died. But first you need to find a way to save her from Yongwu. Liu Cheng asks Adazali if he has a grudge against Li Jiayu. He should be careful with it. Li Jiayu is a genius among players who awakened at the age of 18. It is better not to make such people angry. Adazali asks Uncle Liu, how could he think such a thing? He's too much very worried. Adazali is confident that he will just kill Li Jiayu so quickly that he won't even have time to get angry. The clan leader of the Eastern Region Players Association, Chang, who is level 60. His changed profession is First King. Shang Hu asks everyone to calm down and says that those who can't enter the dungeon must return. Liu Cheng asks Adazali to be careful, because this dungeon is not easy. There is only one chance to change professions, so all players will do their best. Adazali says Liu Cheng doesn't have to worry, because he knows this. Shang Hu says that before they enter, he wants to warn them. The information provided to them allows them to understand that the hidden profession of necromancer knight changes the dungeon. It is only possible to get this specialty, which means that only knights and warriors can enter. There are no restrictions on the level, you only need to match the profession. Also, everyone should take note of one thing. This dungeon does not limit the ability to challenge. Unknown guy asks, doesn't limit the call capabilities at all. He doesn't want to go in there anymore. Adazali asks what is the problem. Chang Hu says, because the dungeon and challenge are different in difficulty, no restrictions prove that it is something impossible. And there is only one dungeon that does not limit the ability to challenge. This is the dungeon of Adazali, the Demon King. It's extremely dangerous, and one definitely can't handle it. The best way is to team up with other players and raid together. Adazali asks if he's finished chatting. Can he come in now? Shang Hu asks, is he going to go alone? Adazali says he doesn't need any ballast. Yongwu says that he didn't expect that there was someone more arrogant than him. This interested him greatly. NJR says it's reckless. There is no doubt that he will become everyone's enemy. But joining a team is also a very stupid way, since there is only one possibility to retrain. And there are also rumors that after a change of profession, all the greed of a person comes out. Yangwu says that everyone is an enemy with the same goal. One person is more than enough. Adizali says that after he entered the dungeon, he ended up here. The location is chosen randomly, and other players must be assigned to different locations. A system notification appeared in front of him that the Purgatory Ant boss had been killed. The teleportation gate back to the city has been opened. Adizali says it looks like you can only leave after defeating the boss. What about changing your profession? But the most important thing right now is to save Jir, and she knows exactly what happened after he died. As for that guy, he feels a hidden threat from him. It seems that his combat abilities are not as simple as shown in the panel. A level 30 lava worm suddenly appeared in front of Adizali, who immediately began attacking him with the lava that he was using. It releases from its mouth. Adizali easily cut the worm into 2 pieces. The system notifies him that he has received 50 conqueror points for killing a monster. Suddenly, the monster behind him explodes. Adizali asks, was it a suicide bombing? Had he thought of using such a pathetic trick to kill him? Such injuries are easily treated. This dungeon seems to him quite, but unreal. Unexpectedly, several more magma worms of the same type appeared. Adizali says it looks like he made them angry. It gets even more interesting. Adizali cuts down each worm, calling them weak. It got like this lots of conqueror points. He is very sorry that all his skills are blocked, and he does not know how to open, but he can. Adizali notices that a cave has opened up in front of him and says that now he can meet other players. At this time, Shan Tianqing uses the magic card to activate the Holy Light Protection skill. And with the Holy Light Seal skill, it captures the golem that attacked its team. Shan Tianqing says that they should quickly attack the monster and not let it recover. Adizali, who watched this, thinks the card holder is pretty good, as expected of a large guild. At this moment, Tianqing will activate the Deathblow Blast and monster skill along with the people who attacked that monster. The girl who was standing next to him asks this jerk what is he trying to do. Tianqing says she already knows, but asks anyway. Did they really think he was teaming up with the NMI to improve his survival rate? This is nonsense. In fact, he is trying to reduce the number of competitors. The girl tells this sneaky freak that once they get out of here, she will make him regret it. She wonders if she hadn't separated from Uncle Zhang after entering the cave, would she have ended up in this situation? Tianqing says she has excellent armor. Apparently, she's a famous person. I wonder if it can withstand his attack. Adizali, coming up behind him, says that he has a very interesting little thing. Tianqing says that this god card was created especially for him, a member of their clan. Adizali punches him in the face. The girl doesn't understand where he came from. Adizali says he is so forgetful. Maybe I should hit him again to make him remember. Tianqing asks, is he looking for death? Adizali says there is nothing he can do. He has what he needs, so he is forced to kill him. Tianqing says he didn't even have to look for it. He didn't expect it to come to his hands by itself. Adizali asks, are these his last words? You can immediately see his stupidity and worthlessness. Tianqing tells this arrogant freak that it will only be enough for him to use this card alone to deal with him. He summons the Shadow Warrior, who orders him to beat up this jerk, and then let him slowly and painfully kill him. The Shadow Warrior hides underground and appears behind Adizali. Tianqing laughs and says that this is what his provocations have led to. Adizali destroys this Shadow Warrior with a very quick movement of her hand and asks, is that all? His attack is too weak. Tianqing says that it was only a tiny fraction of his true strength. Adizali asks him not to disappoint, because he doesn't have many more attempts left. Tianqing activates the Death Coffin skill. Adizali smashes him with the same light movement of his hand and says that he is really worthless and should think of something better. Tianqing activates a skill called Dark Slash. This skill just crashes about Adizali, and he asks Tianqing if he did anything at all. Tianqing asks, how dare he look down on him. It also activates the Death God's Eye, Shadow Illusion, Demonic Needles, and Grim Reaper Strike skills. Adizali, who escaped unscathed from these attacks, says that these techniques will not help, because his level is too low, and he does not pose a special threat to him. Tianqing says it's impossible. Both of them didn't change professions, so why is he so strong? Adizali asks how dare he compare it to him. Compared to him, Tianqing is just trash. Adizali closes the distance between them with great speed and uses the Vampire Mark skill. Tianqing flies through the entire dungeon and crashes into the wall. He can't believe he's wearing the high-ranking armor that the clan leader gave him. She was only able to block one of his attacks. How is that possible? He only has 2 cards left. One of them he cannot use, because it is necessary for him to defeat the boss, and the second is only suitable for escape. As Adizali approached to strike again, Tianqing uses the Descent of Darkness skill, and Adizali stands still. Tianqing says that this skill can instantly take away the target's 5 senses. He screwed up, because he couldn't win before, but now he has a great chance. Adizali looks at him and asks, is he a clown by any chance? Tianqing doesn't understand what's going on. Adizali kills him with 1 blow and says he is really stupid trash. Had he tried to escape until the last moment, despite his mark. The level 2 Vampire Mark allows the wearer to determine the location of the target, even though the effect of invisibility, and increases the absorbing effect. Cooldown is 100 seconds. Adizali took away Tianqing cards and wonder if there are only 10 of them. They can store skills, but each one can only be used once. But of all the cards, he was interested in one. Adizali thinks, was this card really the trump card of this trash? He probably hid it for his boss. Who knows how things would have ended up if he had used this card on him. The girl thanks him for saving her from Tianqi. She would never forget its power. When they return, he will definitely ask his father to repay him. Adizali realizes that she was a witness and is going to kill her. Suddenly a guy appears and says this brat that he should stay away from her. Adizali wonders what's wrong with this guy. This is the player Chang Shui. His profession is a warrior, and he has level 55. The girl covers Adizali with her body and says that Uncle Zhang misunderstood everything. He saved her life. She was attacked, but fortunately, he helped her. Sha also apologizes for acting too rashly. The girl says her name is Zhang Jingjing, and this is her uncle, Zhang Shui. What's his name? Adizali, after seeing that Jingjing is level 27 in a warrior class, says that his name is Zhaoking. By the way, her uncle isn't he a warrior? Why did he use the skills of another profession? Sha also says that he is attentive. In fact, he is an astrologer, which allows him to freely change the panel's capabilities. So his true qualities and profession remain the same. Adizali doesn't understand how he can still freely enter any dungeon with such an unstable ability. Jingjing tells brother Zhaoking that he is definitely a good person to have saved her. Why wouldn't he team up with them? Because with the help of her uncle, it would be much easier to get through this dungeon. Adizali thanks her for the offer, and he says that he is already used to acting alone. Therefore, he suggests saying goodbye to this. Adizali thinks that even though he got a great chance, but this freak of the show is too strong. He should stay away from it. Jingjing tells brother Zhaoking that in this case, he should be very careful. Sha also finds this kid suspicious because of his excessive caution. He decides to check if this kid is a threat to them, but his magic is destroyed when he uses it. Sha didn't see anything. This guy wasn't that simple. That's why the show wants to kill him so he doesn't cause them any unnecessary trouble. At this time, in another part of the dungeon, a group of warriors fight against a flaming demon spirit. Its race is an elemental, and its level is 35. One warrior shouts that they don't have a healer, but there are plenty of warriors, so why can't they handle it? Another warrior notices that two people are approaching them, a man and a very strong creature. Yang Wu says that if there is only this trash left in the dungeon, then he will be terribly bored. Do you agree, Anjair? She asks him to shut up and deal with this monster. Yang Wu says he will consider it a warm-up session. He's with a huge he ran straight to the demon spirit. The rest of the warriors who look at him don't understand. Is he rushing at the monster like that because he's looking for death? Yang Wu says that it will be instant death and defeats the monster in one blow. Yang Wu asks the warriors. They were talking about the monster, weren't they? Just one punch from him was enough. The warrior asks, was it a meteor strike? How was he able to use the swordsman skill? Yang Wu asks, do they understand? One of the warriors says that now that they know his secret, he will kill them all. Yang Wu asks, they saw everything, right? The warrior asks to be released them, because they won't tell you anything. Yang Wu asks, what do you mean, they won't tell you anything? They should share the story of his heroic victory. The warriors think he's a real idiot. Yang Wu says they should follow him and keep up. They should see his heroic adventures. Adizali finally found them. As he expected, Yang Wu is quite powerless. His goal is to kill the boss. He might get a chance if he followed them. Wait for the best moment to attack, that's his tactic. After some time, Yang Wu deals with goblin-like monsters with a meteor strike. Adizali notices that he used a boxing skill. It didn't seem like he needed any special weapons to use this skill. They have similar situations, only his status is lower than Adizali. But fortunately he doesn't look very smart. Yang Wu says that he is very cool and strong. Looking at the large statue, he asks, is this a seal? Suddenly, Yang Wu is hit by a fireball, and a goblin who looks like the leader says something in an incomprehensible language. Yang Wu kills him and only then asks him to speak in a human language, otherwise he will not listen to him. Yang Wu looks at the statue and asks, is the treasure hidden there? He's very worried. Adizali understood that chief had said that they had guarded this place for generations. The mistress of hell must never be woken up. Adizali wonders if this could be the boss's seal. Yang Wu breaks the seal, which makes everyone worried. Suddenly, green pillars of flame began to appear from the ground. One of these pillars hits Yang Wu, but he managed to block the damage with his spear. A death spirit warhorse that has level 25 and the undead race appeared in front of him. When the horse started running, Yang Wu hit him, but the attack seemed to pass right through him. Adizali noticed that the horse just dodged incredibly fast. Suddenly, a voice rang out saying that it was sealed for 10,000 years. She was free at last, and now the pitiful humans must prepare for their doom. The mistress of hell is level 60, and her race is demon. These humans don't stand a chance against her. Adizali manages to hide behind a wall from the powerful flames of the mistress of hell. He doesn't understand. Isn't level 60 crazy? Why is the boss so strong? Jin'er defended Yang Wu, for which he thanks her and says that he underestimated her. He never thought it would be like this difficult. Jin'er says that he should prepare for the fight, because they must win. The mistress of hell casts a spell and asks, are humans and demons fighting side by side? What is this nonsense? They're both going to die right here. At the moment when the fiery spear almost reached Jin'er, Adizali stopped him and said that it was really strange. Infuriated, the mistress of hell asks, who is here? Adizali says it doesn't matter to him. Whoever she is, she has no right to harm his loved ones. The landlady says it's not bad. As a mere mortal, he was able to catch her spear. She asks to identify herself. He calls himself the immortal demon king Adizali. Jin'er started crying and says it's impossible. Her father was long dead. He definitely can't be. Adizali pats Jin'er's head and says that she is still a crybaby. He apologizes for making her suffer all these years, but now Dad is here, and from now on, he will protect her. Jinner wipes away his tears and asks why is he in this person's body. Adizali says they will discuss it later. First, he would finish off the freak who had enslaved her to avoid unnecessary trouble. Jinner comes to Young's defense where he asks his father to stop. He's not a bad person. All these years, he had protected her. She has a contract with him and he can trust him. Yang Wu asks his father to trust him. Adizali kicks him and asks who said he can call him that. Yang Wu was lucky, because Adizali would deal with the boss. Mistress Ada says a father-daughter reunion is so cute. Now they can meet in hell. All three managed to evade the attack of the Mistress of Hell and immediately attacked her in response. Suddenly there is an explosion and the Mistress of Hell says that they are all too weak and she will easily kill them. Hostess Ada throws them back. Adizali asks, so that's what a level 60 monster is like. Their difference in strength is too great. The Mistress of Hell disappears, and Jinner appears behind her and says that he will finish her off first. The Mistress of Hell stabs her with her hand. Yang Wu and Adizali together are called on Jair. They both rush towards the Mistress of Hell at the same time. Adizali activates the Vampire Mark skill. Yang Wu activates the Dragon Strike skill. The Mistress of Hell flies back and Yang Wu begins to heal Jinner with the Holy Healing skill. He asks Adizali not to worry, because she can be saved. Mistress of Hell says this type of attack isn't bad, very suitable for massage. Adizali again felt a sense of hopelessness, like when his family members were being hurt and bullied, and there was nothing he could do about it. Adizali says that thanks to her, some bad moments from his life came back to him. It looks like she's ready for what happens next, right? The Mistress of Hell asks what are the bad moments. What could be worse than meeting her? Adizali says that of course he can and activates the blood explosion technique lowering HP to 1. The Mistress of Hell was surprised by his speed and says that he angered her and now for sure can say goodbye to life. Adizali slaps her across the face with all her might. The Mistress of Hell asks, how dare he touch her face? Enraged, Adizali says that her face was created specifically for being beaten. It seems that the Mistress of the Underworld does not know what the real hell is. Adizali asks her to let him show it. Adizali deals many attacks on the Mistress of Hell. It only has 1 HP. He must avoid her attacks for the next 10 seconds, until the end of the Blood Blast technique. During this time, he needs to deal maximum damage to it. Yang Wu, looking at this fight, is shocked by the fact that Adizali is so powerful that a level 60 NRE boss can fight him back. At this time, Adizali continues to strike with great force and speed, preventing the Mistress of Hell from striking a single blow. Yang Wu doesn't know if she's dead. He handled it so easily, there's no mistaking it. It's really Adizali. Adizali understands that this technique is very powerful. The damage it deals reduces its HP, but then it fully recovers and reaches its maximum health. Unexpectedly, the Mistress of Hell almost gets caught in flames in Adizali. She asks this freak, how dare he humiliate her? The Mistress of Hell begins to transform, growing in size and healing her wounds, and says that this is unforgivable. The liver, spleen, intestines, gallbladder, lungs, and finally the heart. It would slowly pierce through his organs one by one while he was still alive. Yang Wu says that the Mistress of Hell has become much stronger and all her efforts have been wasted. Adizali tells this ugly fool to come closer if she dares. The Mistress of Hell says that he even continues to be impertinent. He must prepare for a painful death. The Mistress of Hell attacks Adizali with all her might. Seeing what's under her palm there is nothing. The Mistress of Hell says that she was too angry and accidentally killed him. She wanted to mock him so that he would beg her for mercy. Suddenly appearing, Adizali says that she should not underestimate him. The Mistress of Hell asks, how is this possible? Why is he still alive? Adizali gives her the middle finger and says she can't do any harm to him because he has 1 skill. The Mistress of Hell says that he should stop playing her by the nose. How can an ant survive 2 of her attacks? Adizali says she doesn't have much time left anyway, so he can and tell her. When he threw himself at her like a madman, he left something on her body. The Mistress of Hell asks, what did he just say? Adizali says that it was a card with a skill that takes some time to activate, and now it is already coming to an end. The Mistress of Hell asks him what nonsense he is talking about. He must go to her and accept his death. Adizali activates the Black Hole Trap skill. A black hole appears from the Demon Mistress body, which expands until the Hell Mistress calls Adizali a pitiful ant. When she was torn apart, Adizali received a systemic notification. For killing a level 60 boss, Adizali received 6,000 Conqueror points. He successfully unlocked the Demon King's castle. A challenging mid-level mission is now available to him. Adizali wonders if it's a mid-level mission. He wonders what kind of reward awaits him this time. Adizali received the skill Master of Hell. It can be used to enhance a fire-type skill. Adizali realized that this is not just an update. Now he can develop fire control. Shaw says he's doing great. It really wasn't that simple. What's that in his hand? Subject for changing your profession. He has to give it back, because it doesn't belong to him. Jing Jing tells her uncle that he saved her. They shouldn't take anything away from this person. Shaw also says that she is too naive. They have to get this item by any means possible, because it's her father's order. Adizali is thinking, a subject for changing a profession. It looks like Shaw also misunderstood him. He's sorry that he used his trump card against the boss. It will be difficult to defeat him, because it seems that he can change not only his own, but also someone else's status. The one person next to him, Wudu Giant, is level 45 and his profession is Guardian Warrior. Second man has level 50 and his profession is a boxer. Shaoyi says that he shouldn't even think about using the item to change his profession, since he just saw everything. This demon race girl is very important to him. If he didn't give her what they were asking for, she would die. Yongwoo, summoning his spear, asks do they think he can't stop them. Xiaolin asks for forgiveness for the fact that they are all just garbage for him. They can't do anything against him. Adizali laughs very loudly and says they are either too dumb or too cocky. If they want to kill On Jair, he really can't stop them, but do they think they can stop him from getting rid of Zhang Jingjing? Xiaoyu realized that he had underestimated this guy. He was really smart. Adizali says he is giving them a chance. He'll fight them, and they can take his stuff if they kill him. Adizali realizes that he has to turn their attention to himself. He can't let On Jair get hurt. Zhang Jingjing asks her uncle not to kill Adizali, otherwise she will. She didn't finish speaking and fainted from the impact. Zhang Shui doesn't understand why she's so worthless. She'd better listen to him and stay here. Adizali moved towards him with lightning speed, but his path was blocked by Wudu Giant, who activated the shield. The shield is so strong that Adizali couldn't break through it with his sword. Zhang Shui summons huge fireballs directly at Adizali, but he managed to jump away. Tu Fei appeared out of the fog and punched Adizali in the face, sending him flying a long distance away. Adizali never thought that he would have to fight so many opponents at once. The Death Spirit Warhorse snorted and appeared after breaking the seal. Adizali decided to take a chance and I ran to the horse. Tu Fei realized that Adizali wanted to escape and shouted at Chang Shu to stop him. Chang Shui says that he is sure that Adizali will not succeed, because he has provided for it. He activated the shooting star's skill and aimed it at Adizali. Adizali realizes that he can't let it get away, because this monster's speed is extremely fast. Suddenly, the horse went down on its knees and after that, there was a powerful explosion. Long Yongwu understands that Adizali could definitely die from such a terrifying skill. Zhang Shui ordered to examine the corpse, because they need to find a class change item to help his niece use it. Suddenly, everyone heard a loud sound in the fog of dust. Was he still alive? A pair of shining eyes emerged from the mist. Adizali and his horse emit bright crystals that explode when they hit anything. Wudu Giant's shield also shattered due to that strange fire. The system congratulates Adizali on receiving the legendary profession of a necromancer knight. He got new skills, a blizzard of hellfire, and the resonance of death. Zhang Shui finally realized that this horse was the key to changing professions, but they didn't even know it. Once them if a great guild failed to do so, then others can't even dream about it. Adizali wasn't even surprised by this and said that he hates riding because he gets sore afterwards. He noticed that there are many different mounts in the human world. If only he could replace this horse with one of them. The horse began to shine and everyone became worried that Adizali was going to attack them. The horse was transformed into a powerful bike at the request of Adizali. Tu Fei suddenly appeared and was about to kick Adizali. In just that second, Adizali and his bike disappeared and flew past over his head. It's a killer move. Adizali understands that boxers are supposed to be fast, but why does he beat him in speed? Adizali ran over Tu Fei and said there was a fatal accident. Killing him with a single attack would be too boring. They are still alive only because Adizali wants to test his new skills on them. Suddenly, someone used on the control and started binding Adizali with gold chains. Zhang Shui says that Adizali is just a recently changed profession piece of trash and can't handle 3 high-level players. Tu Fei activated the limitless skill power. Wudu Giant activated the shield strike skill. They both launched an attack on Adizali and collided, causing a huge explosion. Adizali restrains them both with her own hands. He's already said that he's just training on them. In that case, his next skill should be the most powerful. The Hell Master certificate was used and the Meteor Flame skill was developed. Adizali began to emit an incredible amount of blue flame. Flames began to envelop the players' bodies, and they began to turn into blocks of ice. Adizali squeezed his hand, and the system notified about the successful killing of the player. Adizali gained 140,000 experience points for 2 players and raised his level to 26. Adizali asks, where did this ice statue come from here? Zhang Shui, half sealed in ice, says that he admits defeat. He pleads with Adizali to stop bullying him and rather kill him. Adizali says that Chang Shui was really unlucky, because his level increased and he got a new skill again. This is the Summon the Spirit of Death skill. The summoned Tu Fei and Wudu Giant will now fight against Zhang Shu and under the orders of Adizali. They started to devour their victim while he screams that Adizali will die a miserable death. Adizali says that zombies are only able to use basic attributes, and he can only activate this skill after his opponents die. This attack is quite simple, because these are normal bites, but a special effect turns the victim into a zombie. It seems that Adizali has become even stronger. The system notifies that for killing a player, Adizali has received 150,000 experience points and his level has been increased to 28. The vampire recruitment level has been increased to level 20. Improved moon shadow invisibility, and deadman control skills. Adizali is glad that now his revenge is only a short distance away. Njir told her father that even with a weak human body, he was still very strong and she couldn't expect anything else from her father. Long Yongwu said that his father's abilities were amazing. Adizali kicked him in the face and ordered him not to call him that. He can't trust Long Yongwu because the leader of his guild had a hand in killing Adizali. He should give at least one reason why he is trustworthy, and then he will think about what to do with it. Long Yongwu says that they have a common goal, and he will help Adizali kill Li Jiayu. But he raised it and spent it. He has valuable resources on it, and he wants to betray him so easily. NJR said that Li Jiayu had her own plans for Long Yongwu. He begins by saying that it all started because of his ability, because he didn't realize that he had discovered them. Adizali must have noticed that he can do things that others can't. He has a copy skill that allows him to learn and copy the player's abilities. But there are 3 conditions. First, it must touch the person's palm. Second, the skill level shouldn't be higher than Long Yang Wu's. Third, it can only copy one ability every profession. After studying Lai Zhiyu's capability, he realized that his main skill was quite special. This is a limited skill called Death Dominance. This ability can only be used once. The player binds to the dead person, and then can get all their skills and attributes. It was then that Long Yangwu realized why Lai Zhiyu always looked at him so strangely. It reminded him of the time when a pig was slaughtered in the village. The eyes of the butcher who did this were shining with pleasure. That freak Lai Zhiyu raised Long Yangwu like a pig for slaughter. This is more like the truth. Long Yangwu can tell Atazali in detail about Li Jiayu's skills, as they both want to finish him off. NJR says that thanks to him, she hasn't been harassed all this time. Atazali said that he would trust Long Yangwu, but only for this time and only because his daughter vouched for him. If he betrayed him, he would simply kill him. Atazali asked Anjair, why did she become so weak? It turned out that her power was sealed. Was this also the work of Lai Zhiyu? NJR said that it was Zhang Hao, who fought Atazali, who did it. It looked like he had underestimated Zhang Hao, who had outlived him a self-destruct attack. Atazali asked what happened in the dungeon after his death. It's hard for NJR to talk about it, but after that, the massacre started. 4 people killed all the other players and took the reward. But what happened to their relatives? Some of the demons, including Enjur, were captured and used as bait, but many were able to escape. Most likely, they are now completely safe and Atazali himself can go in search of them. It turns out that his domain was ruined, and the people fled to the human world. NJR told him that he could go to the dungeon and find them there, because it didn't close even after his death. But why did this happen? At first, Enjur didn't understand it, but she thinks it's because Atazali is still alive. But where is the entrance to the dungeon? Enjur knows where the entrance is, but with their current circumstances, it will probably be difficult to get from there. This is because this place is guarded by the guardian of the Garden of Eden, Zhang Hao. After a while, Zhang Jingjing woke up and asked, what have they done? Where is her uncle and his friends now? Atazali told her not to worry. Zhang Jingjing exhaled and she thanked Atazali for keeping them alive. Atazali meant that they are all already in the next world. Ghosts appear behind her and she doesn't understand how this is possible. Atazali shouldn't have done that. Atazali said that they tried to kill him, and in his opinion, leaving their corpses intact is already very kind. Zhang Jingjing starts to cry, because they were good people, helped a lot and took care of her. She might not have noticed, but these 2 good people killed almost all the players before meeting her. So that was why Long Yangwu didn't see much of anyone. But they really did all this for Zhang Jingjing's sake, relying on the fact that others might steal her opportunity to change her profession. Zhang Jingjing is sure that he is blatantly lying to her. Atazali said that she can decide for herself whether to believe him or not, but they leave. Enjur suggested killing Zhang Jingjing to avoid unnecessary trouble. They were very strong and their people should be on the same level. Atazali said that Zhang Jingjing could say what he wanted, but if they dared to come and take revenge, then he wouldn't mind killing them. And he was also worried that the experience might not be enough. 3 days later, Atazali and H-Sayo walk down the street. People immediately start talking. Is this the same Zhaoking? This is quite an awkward situation for Atazali, because he is shown on screens on the streets and on TV, as he has the most legendary profession. Fame attracts too much attention. After the boss battle, they only had 5 people left. Zhang Hu can't wait to find out who got the opportunity to change their profession. Atazali said that he is the winner. Do they have any problems with that? As expected, everyone wasn't too happy. A second later, people started to talk. Invited Atazali to join their guild. In this world, the strongest survives, so Atazali would also try to hire the owner of a legendary profession. Zhang Jingjing didn't tell anyone the truth. After all, girls have a strange mindset. Zio asks his brother. They finally went out to shop, so why is he so angry? Atazali apologized and said that he was a little lost in thought. After he became a player, he is constantly preoccupied with something. Zio hopes that soon her older brother will be as happy as she is. Atazali said that if Zio is happy, then so is he. In any case, Zio will try to always be like this. Now she wants to go to an amusement park. Suddenly, she bumped into a hard man. A young man in robes asked her if she was okay. Zio said that everything was fine and it was her fault. Isn't that right, big brother? Atazali apologized, because they were so focused on the conversation that they didn't notice anyone around them at all. The guy said that everything was fine and he also had a younger sister, and this girl reminded him of her. He started walking out and said it was nice to meet them. He's a really simple level 10 player, but why does he pose such a threat? Using the example of Zhang Shu and Atazali, I realized that the level and profession shown on the panel may differ from reality. But who is this guy? The guy went into the slum and saw a man on the couch. The man immediately said that he didn't belong here and should get out of here. The guy clarified. This is Wild Wolf territory, right? He has something to say to their boss. The man became alert and started asking who he was. How did he know about this place? The guy asked him to just move away, but at the same time, he was punched in the face and fell to the ground. How dare he look down on him? He would only enter over his dead body. Even though she said it just now, but the guy was originally going to do it. His eyes light up red and he says that he will kill this freak right now. After a while, the door to this building was broken through, and there are many corpses inside. The people from the Players' Union who arrived at the scene of the crime realized that dying while fighting a monster wasn't as bad as this. These people were all members of the Wild Wolf gang. This is out of bounds, because this time more than 10 players were killed. Leader of the savage gang wolves Shang Da Chuang. who was level 50, was brutally killed by a mere player. Lao Zhan says that it was someone else who did it, not the one who killed them all in one blow. Here you can see traces of long tortures. They might all be complete assholes, but they shouldn't have done that. Have they ever heard of purple blood? This is one new substance that the Wild Wolf gang was selling. So the killer came for the purple blood. The employee is not completely sure, because this is not an easy task, but the highest level of the association has already found the creator of this substance, but cannot do anything. Could it be that some strong player? The purple blood was created by the Insect King, Park Il-chan. Most likely, some major event may occur soon. At this time, Zhang Jingjing came out of the portal and told her father that she was unable to complete the task he had given her. Was it because of Zhang Shui's death? I feel sorry for him, because he was very useful. Her father was Zhang Hao. He feels like he needs to clean up again. He is very annoyed by this pile of junk that stands in his way. Right now, there are many different monsters standing in front of him. After all these years, the freak never showed up. Zhang Hao activates God's judgment and literally summons the deity from heaven. Monsters are instantly hit by the God's spear. This ability left a huge crater on the ground. The crater reached out to the portal to the demon world. The demons aren't happy that they've been providing this freak with so much experience for several years. The cat-eared girl said that even if only one of them could reach the human world, their king would already be waiting for them there. In her hands, she holds a flask with the demon king's heart. At this time, the guy is lying in a clearing and looking at a photo of a beautiful girl. He asks her to wait a bit, because he was already on his trail. Did the guy ask the dead players where their leader was? The player swore that he really didn't know this, and all he had heard was that the ringleader was going to the auction that would take place in a week's time. The guy grabbed the player by the arm and throat, while he swears that he has already told everything and there is nothing to kill him for. The guy says that he will make them pay for their crimes and kills the player. There is only a week left until they can free themselves from this endless will. Those who have different paths and different goals met only once, but soon fate will bring them together again. After some time in the training hall, Nai and Atazali fight against each other with swords. Nai said that after changing his profession, Atazali's skills really improved and the average player would never be able to beat him. Atazali told her not to look down on him and to fight with her full strength. Nai apologized, because she was afraid of hurting anything in the audience. Atazali suggested that we go somewhere where no one is around. They came to a large, empty field. Nai said that her most powerful attack can kill Atazali, so he should try harder. Atazali asked her to give it her all in full, so as not to disappoint him. Nai needs to show him that she's not like normal players. Nai raised the sword above her, and with one swing gave Atazali a taste of death in her gut. If he hadn't immediately activated the protection, then everything might have ended sadly. On this day, the sky was covered in dark clouds, but with her sword, Nai split the sky and let out the sunlight. There is also a crevice left on the ground from this attack. Is this the power of an awakened player? Now this level is simply incomprehensible for Atazali. Nai told him to ignore the difference, because awakened players are considered battle monsters. Atazali was very angry, because Miyamoto had just woken up. It had been so many years since he had encountered these freaks. They definitely became much stronger than him during this time. Nai saw that he was upset about something and wished she hadn't used all her strength. She needs to console Atazali to leave a good impression. Atazali needs to close the power gap as much as possible in the shortest amount of time, so he asks the system to start the mission. Nai didn't know where he'd gone. Atazali found himself in a place that looked like a laboratory. But what does it mean, this code, and where is the dungeon? Suddenly, there were sounds of fighting and explosions. The monsters appeared too quickly. Players shout that there are escaped monsters here and they need to kill them. Atazali opens his eyes and does not understand what is happening to his body. He looked into the mirror fragments and saw that he had become a goblin. The system notifies about the beginning of an intermediate mission, the purpose of which is to search for the Chimera Core. Atazali can't believe that he became a goblin for some unknown reason. Now he has everything blocked, including items and skills. He's nothing at all, can't use it, and even the characteristics are hidden. But at least the necessary item is marked on the map. All he has to do is find it. An extremely powerful explosion rang out from behind him. Atazali realizes that weak monsters won't scare anyone away, and starts running. The player doesn't understand why this goblin is so difficult to kill. Where did he go anyway? At the same time, Atazali was behind him and killed him with a sharp mirror shard. Even if he has become a monster, he is still the strongest goblin, so this dungeon doesn't seem too difficult for him. The player shouts that he has found a goblin. Commander, he ordered everyone to be killed and no one to be spared. Atazali thought about it for a moment and started running away, cursing the system and the mission. After that, he hid in the bushes and the players lost sight of him. They decided to disperse and search the area, because they must not miss this goblin. Atazali realized that his gardening could be useful, but still this mission is very unclear. The system gave him such a weak character, and if the reward wasn't worth it, then he wouldn't agree to it at all next time. While he was running towards the core, he didn't even notice that he had collided with a player. He attacked him in a second and knocked it out. This goblin turned out to be much stronger than he thought, and now he can easily deal with other players. But it can't be that easy, can it? Even to kill all these players, he wouldn't spend too much time. If he understood everything correctly, then there must be a player in this dungeon that he can't handle. At the same time, the guy with the purple aura says that he found the lost cutie. Park Il-chan tells him that since he's the subject of the experiment, he can't run around anywhere he wants. Atazali immediately began to run away, and sentenced that his tongue definitely cursed. As soon as he said that, his thoughts immediately came true. Park Il-chan just smiled, and his huge praying mantis sliced the goblin's body in half. Now he knows that goblins have red blood. He is sorry that the experiment was a waste, and the blood of monsters is very vile. He should get someone to clean up the mess. Adizali doesn't understand. Is he going to die right here this time? The core is almost in front of him and he only needs to take one step. It turns out that this huge cube is the core of a chimera. Streams of energy began to separate from the core, which joined the arm and body of Adizali. The system notifies that the chimera core has been successfully found and the fusion process has started. The final mission is unlocked. Adizali must protect the chimera's core and survive for an hour. The players saw the trail of blood and realized that the goblin was still alive. This monster is quite tenacious, as expected from a genetically modified one. Adizali's hands started to emit red flames and he charged. Grabbing the players' heads, he slammed them into each other. From this point on, players became legs for Adizali due to the merger. This ability of the cube core is impressive. Adizali wonders if he can merge with the monsters. He walked into the lab and saw the monster flasks. He decided to try to merge with the humanoid fish, and broke the flask. The alarm sounds instantly, and Adizali admires her new hand. The monster had completely merged with Adizali, leaving only scales on its body. Isn't that cool? Adizali came up with a wonderful plan and started smashing all the flasks with monsters that started to merge with him. The chimera core is just something, because Adizali was able to get various features of the bodies of other monsters. If the mission lasts so long, then he just has to take revenge. Players saw a scary monster that is 3 times taller and larger than them. Adizali says he is not a monster but their worst nightmare. In an instant, it sliced through all the players with its claws and began to absorb their powers. One of the players is still alive and begs to be saved, but Adizali won't listen to him and impales him with sharp spikes. Park-Ilchink and his praying mantis were watching. Was all this commotion caused by this monster? Where did it even come from? Park-Ilchink doesn't seem to recognize Adizali, but he doesn't blame him because he's changed a lot since then. Park-Ilchink understood that it was the same goblin he had fought before, but what did it do? Adizali said that it's better to think about what he's done, rather than what he's done, because Park-Ilchink will experience it firsthand. At the same time, a praying mantis appeared right in front of him, but Adizali took it down in one blow. This attack is too weak and does not reach the level of Adizali. The takeover limit, isn't it? Park-Ilchink thought that since the goblin had become very strong in such a short time, it must have used the chimera core. He seems to know a little bit about this core. Park-Ilchink says this thing there are many disadvantages. For example, only monsters can use the core. Park-Ilchink should have made sure that the goblin was dead. The biggest weakness of the core is that when you meet a high-level awakened player, it doesn't matter how much they manage to absorb, because it's all useless. They started fighting with their bare hands. Park-Ilchink punched him in the chest and threw him away. Adizali wondered what level this strong freak had at all. Park-Ilchink got behind Adizali and activated his blade, slicing through Adizali with multiple attacks. Adizali realized that he had become overconfident. It turns out that this freak is an awakened player. Unsurprisingly, the mission talked about surviving for an hour. No matter what he does, he can't beat this freak. Adizali began to heal. Park-Ilchink wondered if this rather fast recovery was a feature of the dragon lizard monster. It seems that he will have to first dismember Adizali and then analyze his corpse. Adizali got angry and started blowing smoke out of himself. Park-Ilchink said it was the ability of the smoke ghost toad. He has many skills, but uses smoke to hide and then attack him, right? How dare he use such a standard trick against him? Adizali said that Park-Ilchink thinks too much when faced with such a strong opponent. He realizes that there is only one way to win this fight and starts to get out of here. He just needs to hold on until time runs out and he can complete the mission. Suddenly, he notices 3 strange ropes that are wrapped around his entire body. These threads are very strong and seem to be Park-Ilchink's ability, but what is his skill? Park-Ilchon is very sorry that he didn't even dare to fight him. Apparently he is destined to become a prey. How is he going to escape from the predator? Park-Ilchink attacks Adizali with his claws. The poison of the destroyer is insane and Adizali is waiting for a painful death, and this is enough to get a body. Adizali's body swelled up and he said that even if he died, he would take it with him. Finally, there was an explosion. Park-Ilchink in the fog is happy with how disgusting it is. Park-Ilchink shouts that this filthy creature has soiled his perfect clothes with her cheap tricks. Suddenly, Park-Ilchink's face started to melt. Adizali became a little goblin with horns and said that Park-Ilchink deserved it. This is his punishment for being so arrogant, so he should have an appropriate look. Now this freak looks much more attractive. And which of them is the prey now? Park-Ilchink was very angry and said that he would make him regret it. How dare he disfigure his beautiful face? Hundreds of insects start crawling out of its mouth, which cling to Adizali. Now death is very close for him. Adizali said that he memorized his information, and when he finds it, he will become a dead man. Park-Ilchink laughs and asks him, is this goblin skill called eloquent mouth? Since that was the case, he would now force him to close his mouth and cut him in half. This attack didn't hit Adizali and he says that he won. The system notifies that the action time has expired, and the player's mission is completed. Finally, he told the non-entity to remember his words, because he would come for him. Finally, Adizali teleported back to the human world. He almost died in this dungeon. The system notifies that the intermediate task of the Demon King trial has been completed. As a reward, he receives Mysterious Monster Egg and Chimera Fusion Device. There is a special power in the egg of an unknown mysterious monster. It is not known what kind of monster will hatch from the egg, but Adizali must give it the warmth it needs. Adizali is sure that this egg is the best reward. The Chimera Fusion Device can connect monsters and other creatures, transforming them into a new species. The device cannot be used on players. If you use a player to merge, they will turn into merge material and die. Adizali didn't even think that he would be able to bring such an item from the dungeon. He has not a bad idea. It was a good thing that his authority in the dungeon was restored. He immediately opened the teleportation gate to the dungeon. Sealed for so long, they were finally back. If he wants a monster, he's got plenty of them here. It's time to find out what kind of monster he will get after the merge. Adizali has 4 types of monsters in the dungeon. The lowest one is a zombie. Then comes the skeleton mage, who can use magic. Elite suture monster. The strongest boss is the skeletal demonic dragon. To begin with, Adizali decided to combine 2 zombies. As expected, the zombie became much stronger, but this is not enough and Adizali needs a stronger monster. He wondered how strong the zombies would be if they were all put together. He continued the process of merging. After combining all the weak zombies, they became elite monster kings of level 25 zombies. But what happens if Adizali combines 2 royal zombies? The system notifies that the merge failed because Adizali has reached the highest monster merge level. This means that all zombies can only be fused before becoming a king zombie. It's the same when Adizali was a goblin in a dungeon and had a limit. When it absorbed a lot of players, it couldn't continue to grow. What would happen if he tried to fuse an elite suture monster with a skeleton mage? The result was a general level 30 suture magic. Adizali started fusing all the skeleton mages with extreme greed. This can result in a dungeon boss that commands all monsters, and the Adizali dungeon will become very strong. As a result of the fusion, a level 40 evil chaos demon, the demon race, was born. The chaos demon flew away, and a skeleton dragon flew in its place. The dragon is the most important monster. He's originally a rank monster boss, but what happens if you merge it with someone else? All normal monsters are already in fusion and Adizali can only use royal zombies as material. The system notifies that the dungeon has been invaded by players who need to be destroyed. Adizali said it was very nice, because they seemed to know that he was short of materials and came to help. The player asks the boss why there are no monsters in this dungeon at all. He had heard that there were many monsters in this burial ground that even destroyed an entire team. The boss says that the burial area was previously explored by Yan Wu. He even made up a raid strategy that the boss bought for a lot of money. He's researched everything and they don't have to worry, because everything is under control. They would first encounter a low-level zombie and be able to kill it easily. It seems that zombies have started to appear. This is the player's favorite part, when they kill low-level monsters. Unexpectedly for the boss, players began to be sucked into the fog, unable to cope with the zombie. Doesn't the boss know what he's talking about? Does he even understand what a low level is? In front of them are zombie kings that only appear in high difficulty dungeons. The boss doesn't understand. Why are there such high level monsters in this dungeon? He only has a raid strategy in the dungeon. But it is useless if the information is not reliable. What's wrong with this dungeon? The player started to leave and told the guys to fight on their own. Suddenly, everything was engulfed in bright flames. The boss shouts to the players not to run away, because this is an attack of the skeleton mage and you need to be careful with it. They need to stop panicking, because judging by the size of the suture monster approaching them, they just need to aim at his weak spot and the victory will be in their pocket. Now they are. Before he could finish speaking, he was standing in front of them. A level 40 demon boss appeared. Now the players are even more shocked than before. Even the boss shouted that he wanted to go home to mommy. After a short time, Adizali started the merger. Adizali is excited about this feeling. What kind of monster will it be? Nameless, who is level 60 and belongs to the dragon race, tells her lord that she is waiting for his order. Adizali asks, was she a female demon? He really couldn't expect her to evolve into a high-level monster with self-awareness. The dragon asks the lord to give her a name. After some thought, Adizali says he has a name for her. A mighty, invincible, heavenly, demonic dragon. This name sounds strong, and will make people fear her. The dragon says that everything suits her as long as the lord likes it. This name is too long, so he will call her Demon Dragon. The dragon asks the lord if he wants to order her something. She can also do all sorts of obscenities with him. Adizali thinks it's strange. Why has her character changed? Could it be that it merged with the player's strange thoughts? Adizali invites her to fight, because he wants to test her strength. Dragon asks if you want to fight him on the bed. The teacher can use any tools. She's sure she can handle it. Adizali says it should be more serious. He summons the sword and at the moment of impact says that it should stop being so easily accessible. The dragon easily stops Adizali's attack and says that he can use more power. She is confident that she can handle it. Adizali doesn't understand why he feels like she's playing him. Maybe he should attack them. Adizali uses the Blood Blast skill and rushes towards the dragon with great speed. The dragon activates the Dragon Roar skill, but Adizali manages to dodge. He doesn't understand. Was it a control type skill? She could have blown it up. The dragon disappeared from view in a matter of moments and appeared behind Adizali, hugging him to her. The dragon asks the lord if he is satisfied with her strength. Adizali realized that she had appeared behind him in the blink of an eye. Such agility. She was even faster than him after using Blood Blast. Her strength is almost the same as his. When they face an awakened player together, they will be able to hold on. Adizali asks the dragon, is this all her power? Dragon, thinking that she can't let her master see her true form when she uses it. All my strength. She says that this is her maximum, but she is ready to do anything for the sake of the lore. Adizali notices in the system that he has new skills. Is it because the monsters he controlled have changed? The first skill is Dragon Roar. It deals magic damage over an area, while knocking back an enemy for 30 minutes. Spends 300 mana point. The second ability is Elemental Explosion. The effect instantly restores all mana. The damage from the magic of the next skill increases by 3 times after using the use. Silence appears for 1 minute, from which the owner cannot use any skills. The duration of action is 1 hour. Spends 0 mana point. The third skill is Steadfastness. Passive skill. It grants immunity to death 1 time. HP decreases to duration 24 hours. Doesn't consume mana point. Adizali says the auction is tomorrow. These vile people, they dared to